So, like Howard Stern, I do not find Howard Stern to be like really super funny. Like, I'm not laughing at stuff Howard Stern does. However, like I respect that Howard Stern like runs a show every day. And we've run shows every day. Do y'all know how hard it is to be funny every day?
Oh
When
my
you
god.
think about like how funny or offensive or toxic like those AM radio hosts were in the 90s, they had like this challenge of people are driving to work, they hate their jobs, they're miserable, late stage capitalism, full effect. Like, how can we be like entertaining on a daily basis with the same people? And anybody, just tell your best jokes. Like, if Dave Chappelle had to do a TV show every day, the shit would not be funny. Like, he's one of the funniest motherfuckers in the world. He probably has like a week and a half of good jokes. A week and a half of Dave Chappelle, you're like, all right, man, go back to your wife, go back, do whatever. Daily is hard.
Yeah, name anybody.
Name
and a lot of
anybody.
those drive time radio shows too, they're like 8 hours long. They start at like 4 a.m. and they go until like the main commute is over.
Yeah, no.
Kyle, are there any daily comedy shows that you like
Daily
that are on
comedy
every
shows.
day that's gonna make you laugh?
No, I can't think of anything.
I don't even make myself laugh every day, man. I'm funny as hell. Some days it's just like, Brent, just shut up, man. It's not the day.
I mean, some days I come into the Discord with my friends and it's just not clicking, you know?
Yeah.
Like I made a joke on Twitter so funny that a comedy writer commented on it the day of, and then the next day commented again, and she was like, "I can't stop thinking about how perfect this joke was." I can be very funny. I'm not funny every day. Some days Kennedy is just sitting here like.
Think of how funny a viral tweet is. And when somebody goes viral, unless you are like one of those people, like mostly you go viral once every 3 months, like, and we're big ballers on Twitter. Like, Kyle, you've never gone viral ever.
No.
You scrub.
Honestly, it's the pure Twitter experience, really.
Yeah.
You know, you've been tainted by fame and
that's true.
Greed.
Shouting into the void. Once you get like around 2,000 followers, you become viral eligible, which really is, if you have a tweet that's really super funny, it might catch on. But like generally, it's just you've got to have a snapper.
Right, and if you get a good one and you got 2,000 followers, that's like 100 likes easy, right?
But I don't want to talk about all of this stuff. Like, it's funny and all. But we were talking, Kennedy. We were talking with Amy. Can you talk about what our conversation was with Amy?
I mean, I think Amy was getting a little offended at a comparison you made. Amy's one of our producers, by the way, folks.
Yes, Amy. Can you give the offensive comparison that you made? Come account for yourself.
Amy, show your face. Show yourself for a second.
Hey, Amy.
We're dragging the producer out of her cave.
That's right.
For a minute.
Hey, everyone.
We recorded an episode a couple days ago, and I described it as like a Chapo episode, and you were like, "There are people when you use that name, people get terrified."
Well, I just think that we're firmly to the left of Chapo, you know. And
listen, this to me, when I make that comparison, this isn't about left versus right. It's labor versus free time. That's the real politics that really matter to me on this show.
Wait. Do we fall under labor or free time?
Let's explain. We did an episode with Amy, and I called it like a Chapo episode because we were reading out the America First Caucus platform and just reading it and hearing it for the first time and talking shit about it. And that's like a very low effort thing to do. But like as a Chapo, like if you make a list of like your 5 favorite episodes of that show, probably one of them is just
it's like a reading group episode.
Yeah. I think that's okay. It's easy to do, but it's also like a way to get you sharing your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best times with my friend. Sorry, am I the one echoing?
You sound great.
All right. Yeah, some of the best times just with my friends are, reading stupid right wing articles like that. I think going over the 1776 report was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Trump tried to get that thing on his way out of office, and it was like promptly flushed down the memory hole.
Really
And
so.
in such a way that I don't even think the people who names were on it were really getting any bragging rights out of it. But Kyle, tell us. Let's back up because you like this is like you're here and you're like a member of the cast, and because the show is like really just a show of us and our friends. Everybody feels like they know everybody before they come on the show. So that when people see you for the first time, it's like, who's this?
Who's this?
And you're just Kyle, who you're just Kyle. So, hi, if somebody wants to know more about you than your name, tell us who you are and what your journey is. Not that good shit.
Okay. I'm Kyle. I'm not a native Atlantan. I'm a transplant here for college. I came to DSA because I wanted to do, like real leftist work in the community. And I mean, so far I found people that are like interested in that. You hear a lot of stereotypes about DSA being online and being
Atlanta DSA is like one of the least weird DSA chapters.
Right,
Like,
I get that sense.
Like the thing, like our show and Atlanta DSA are a little bit similar in that when white people describe what they want, it's this. But there's not the fucking attention or money given to it that is commiserate with like what da 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 da. Because this show is and the work that we've been doing is all like really good stuff on police abolition. We literally in black neighborhoods in West Atlanta, just knocking doors and handing out pamphlets and doing like really good shit. Labor, working rights, PROACT, did phone banks, calling people, flip Joe Manchin.
Trying to close the jail. It's right down the street from me, honestly.
Close the jail, ATL, local shit, like incarceration and people just like leaving incarceration and stuff like that. Just all the activism that we've been doing. Pat yourself on the back. Give yourself a hand. Talk about like what your goals are, like in terms of like what do you want to see as an organizer or as a person that's passionate about justice, just a human being. What do you want to see from the movement in the world in Atlanta this year?
Big question.
Yeah, this is the place for big questions. But remember, like, we're not on a strict time limit. So, like, if you want to sit and think about that question, we're so smart, we will loop it in at a time that's thematically appropriate.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll come back around a couple of times,
All right, Kennedy, let's build suspense because we've been talking about Atlanta stuff, and you are doing exciting things in Albuquerque with makeup. Oh yeah, I'm not saving the world or anything. I look really great doing it.
How do you get such good lighting?
I love your immediate bashful modesty. You're just incredible. Hello.
Okay, I will share my lighting secret because this is a good if you are broke lighting secret, and I want everybody to know about it.
Please.
It's these hardware clip lamps that you can find at like Home Depot that are the reflective aluminum type all the way around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You buy those. I've got 4 of them.
Kennedy has really figured out lighting, and they've had the best possible solution. For a couple weeks on the old show, I had an incredible lighting setup, but just a terrible setting. I had like one bookshelf that was a renegade bookshelf behind me, and a crummy webcam. So the lighting wasn't illuminating anything. I have a pretty okay lighting setup now, which is like I have like just one that's right in front of me, and I have one that's like that I can turn on, but I don't. So it looks okay. Kennedy.
Yeah, this is me coming at you from the
laptop
webcam.
You have natural lighting.
Yeah, no, I do have natural lighting. Like the way my bedroom is set up, I have a big window like right here in front of me.
That's ideal.
So, at least I have that.
But Kennedy, talk more about what you've been up to, because I interrupted your story.
No, I mean, I don't even remember what I was saying before. I was just talking about, there's definitely some great DIY lighting solutions though that you could do really cheaply. And these hardware lamps, this is one I learned from doing like punk music and like black box theater and stuff. Where like, your budget is like so small and you want to make it look good. Regardless,
So not a ring. You're not a ring lights person then.
I have one small ring light directly behind my monitor. It's fine. I don't think it's like exceptional. It's certainly like it's good in many respects, but it's not. You don't have to go to. I see you. You don't have to go to Home Depot. You can get this type of style of hardware lamp anywhere.
Go to Ace, wherever.
Yeah, go to your local hardware stores.
Any hardware store, whatever hardware store you most want to support, will pretty much have these.
Yeah,
and you can put a filter over them and stuff too. Like you can do shit like that. It'll work out fine.
Before I come back to you, because you've been on tour with Dan, and I want to talk about you being on Dan. I was talking to Rara about lighting because I let her borrow my ring light, and it's like a huge fuck off ring light, which obviously she's doing stuff, putting it to much better use than me. But that was all well and good, except I was in a working group, like an organizing meeting with her. And we were just talking about like cultural differences and stuff like that. And then she was like, oh, in Guam, there's just a culture of, if you don't come back and get your stuff.
Right. I was there for that. You can just kind of go in and take what you need. And
yeah, I just bolted up in my seat. I was like, all right, we need to have a conversation about this. I didn't know that because, I'm from the culture in Atlanta where like, you can let your auntie borrow something because they not going nowhere. They broke just like you, and you can go in their apartment like a year from then, like get their DVD. You're borrowing a movie or something from somebody, and it's over there with somebody else, but everybody in the family knows that it's yours.
Right.
If we as Black people had a rule where like if some shit was at your cousin's for 6 months, they kept it. Like your PlayStations would be having trouble, your games would be having trouble, all your used games would be in big, deep problems. You got to have boundaries.
But I have to say, all of that stuff that you don't have and aren't using and someone else does have and is using is taking up real estate in your mind. And letting go of that could have its own benefits to some extent.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because the whole context of that whole conversation about borrowing was we were talking about alternative models to policing. Because we were talking about like the Zapatistas and their community model and stuff, and that's how we started talking about cultural differences. Yeah, I know. Kennedy has been talking. They've been talking since we started the show about going to do that road trip. And really, we can do it. Like we have it. Like we have the juice now. That if we try, like if we did it,
once the pandemic is over, not safe for Wonks is going to Chiapas and making a documentary. Field report. You wait.
Kyle, you keep showing up on these shows. Just keep popping your head in.
Okay. Yeah. I'd love to go. Be a Zapaturismo. I think that's the term, right?
That's right. But listen. What's going on in the news? That was our whole lead up. We were talking about no, wait. No. Everybody rewind. Here's the on board. The new segue is Kyle, given that we've had these conversations about building community, about trusting each other, about setting ambitious goals that we achieve together. In that light, in that context of the soul affirming conversation that we've just had, what are your goals for the year, Kyle? Yowie wowie! All right, yeah, I'm just great. What can I tell you? Kyle, what are your goals?
Oh God. Well, I guess one goal is I'm trying to be a delegate for DSA at the convention. If I say it,
do you remember the deadlines for all that stuff? Is it like this weekend?
I think it's the 30th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was just on the website yesterday.
So if you're watching this now and the word delegate just made you like stick up, if you're cool enough to be watching this show, you are cool enough to be a DSA delegate, by all means. And we definitely need human engagement, you know.
Yeah, and I'm relatively new and I'm doing it.
Yeah, this is not something. One of the things in DSA world, people who are new are always like, I'm not sure. Like, everyone is shy about being the person who goes into the meeting and is too assertive. And so people like to hang back and like, what's going on? Da, 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 da. And sometimes like it keeps people from being as engaged as they could be, because often people are looking for somebody who wants to jump in and do all this stuff. Alyssa, I don't have my phone on me, but send me a Twitter DM and I will respond to that in like 5 minutes. But anyway, yeah, being a delegate, yeah. Join DSA, be a delegate. Even if boy, what do I know about DSA? Being a delegate's the best way to learn because they're voting on what all the priorities are. So if you have different organizational priorities, I can't do this too much because someone from DSA will be like, no, you've got to show your loyalty. But seriously, if you have been skeptical of DSA in the past and you always wonder, why don't they do this or this or that? Every 2 years, they have a meeting where they decide on what to do about all that stuff. So It's time to get in there and figure that out for yourself.
It's a shame it's online, but it also probably makes it a little easier for people, all over.
Here's the thing. Number one, accessibility just for everything is so much better. Like, for real.
Did they stream the workshops?
The old one was streamed, and it was like put in a secret lockbox, and you had to have a password. Like it was goofy. And then they took stuff down because parts of it that got clipped and they got dunked on, and so they were social media. Like, their social media team was running for cover. They were not really prepared. Like, they weren't really prepared for the real viral era. Right. But now it's a lot better accessibility because we had COVID. So the novelty of all of that stuff is worn off. And also I think, I'm not saying this to shill, and if it sucks, I'll just be here saying that it sucks because they don't pay me anything. But it seems like they're going to try to limit the number of agenda items so that things don't run for fucking 5 days when it should be like 1 day.
Wait, like workshops and stuff?
No, just like resolutions and stuff, because sometimes just voting and giving everybody a chance to have their say takes up a ton of time. So it's just like, hopefully this year will be more respectful of people's personal time, so you can do a little of this and then go back to your kid or your girlfriend or your job or just real life.
Or just sitting on your ass like I'm going to.
Exactly. Kennedy, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the news. And I think we'll have guests. Just stuff will be happening all the time.
Right. Yeah. Let's talk about vanilla.
Yeah, let's do it. How's it going, y'all? We're back. Things are normal.
Are they?
That's a terrifying. What's our current backdrop? Maybe we should change our backdrop.
What is that video?
Well, all right. So typically, like we're like really our real aesthetic inspiration is early 90s children's shows, which is just like multiple clashing aesthetics. So we have been like a tarot card, like a cool mystical kind of show, and we've also done a lot of this. And I think this is our more famous
This
background.
is kind of what people know us for, is
This
like
is
the
what
world's
we're
on
known for
fire.
now. Yeah.
How about
And
yours?
if we have a like a dignified political operative, all right, everybody, you're getting the background of the show, whatever. But like if we have a real like a Spizakis or somebody like that, then we'll do something like this. It's very tasteful.
Ah, yes,
Yeah,
we
static,
are
doesn't distract.
professionals. Haha.
Yes, like if we have Donna Imam, who we probably should have one of these weeks because she's a little less busy now that she's completed her congressional run. But if we have like someone really like classy, we'll do one of these.
Well, speaking of backdrops, Brandon, I can't help but notice the lack of a certain stylistic element in your background.
Which one?
Certain pinata themes.
Oh well, it's still there on the screen right now. It's an Easter egg. You got to look really closely.
It's right there in the corner.
Kennedy, do you want to talk about Parler? Because Parler, we're talking about when we did the comeback.
Do we have
said America is back. We said America is back. We're back. Shootings are back. Violence is back. Racism is back. Injustice is back. We're all getting quote unquote back to normal, and normal is awful. Look at this, like Parler, which I guess people were celebrating. Oh, we've really struck a blow for justice. Coming back already. They're gonna get some kind of moderation scheme. The existing Parler was just totally impossible to moderate.
Right.
And it's just I don't know how that company even stayed afloat in the time that whatever. But they're going to block some posts that are permitted on Parler more generally. There will basically be a walled garden for App Store users. Where like in the moderation, like once your post, I assume, has been moderated, it will be in the Apple version of Parler. And so the lit version of like Parler Plus, you've got to be on Android.
Well, you see that with a lot of apps on iOS, just because Apple is really strict about like hate speech content and not safe for work stuff, especially. So a lot of apps will have like different versions for the iOS and Android in terms of like what content they can show. Even
well,
all I can say is I can't believe China did this.
What is like? What are our real feelings about this? Like, is this good? Like,
this sucks on every level because, like, I mean, like I was just alluding to with that shitty joke. Like, this is like, on the one hand, it kind of presents like a weird form of censorship. And then on the other hand, it also is like letting a shitty, horrible platform back onto their store, which they shouldn't be doing either. So it's like a lose-lose because it's like, it's basically fuel to their fire in terms of like, how are they going to respond to this? They're going to be like, look, we're being censored by liberal Apple. You can't.
There's no win for Parler here either. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no win for Parler. There's no win for anyone involved, really. So it's just like a real shit show of like of things happening, and like this is like pretty much the worst possible world of solutions, which is just so often the case with liberal half-assed. Like, we're not really going to take a stance, but we're kind of going to take a stance type behavior.
Where do you feel on this line of, well, like if you were Apple, is it better to have a more of a hammer, or do you feel like we've got to have a light hand on these things on principle?
I think Apple should just ban the app and just move on with their fucking. Why are they bringing it back? How much money is on the line even here? What is the fucking? They're making a whole set of exceptions to get this app back on the store. Basically,
Well, I think they
like,
said Parler is going to moderate hate speech on their platform, which is kind of funny.
hilarious.
When the whole platform
Yeah,
is based on it.
ridiculous. But yeah, like so Apple and Parler come up with some kind of agreement so that Parler can get back on. Why is Apple making such a big deal out of even letting them back on the platform? Like, if I was the CEO of Apple, I would have simply, when I made the decision to ban Parler, never thought about Parler again. And if someone brought Parler up, I'd be like, shut the fuck up. Let's talk about money.
I think you've really cracked the
I think Apple's really worried about like losing whatever veneer of taking no sides they have in this whole situation, politically at least.
Yeah, it feels like they're trying to, and again, typical liberalism, they're trying to make a point of we are not allowing them to be bad or whatever, but you're making a big point of giving them their platform back when they don't deserve one.
Also, now Apple, you've kind of, I mean, social media censorship, political philosophy 101. Now Apple is now the sponsor of whatever comes through Parler. I mean,
because now they've given it the okay.
Yeah, like in a weird way. Like, I know they're going to say, well, it's independently moderated, but now Parler's got their mod team that's going to have their own standards, and
those standards are going to be low.
Yeah, and whenever something like shocks people's conscience and it's on regular Apple gated Parler, one of the reasons that like Twitter has been so slow to ban like right-wing bots and Trump's fake followers is like, and the engineers have said this, like, we can't tell the difference. The computer cannot tell the difference between a fake conservative and a bot. You know what I mean? They can't tell the difference between a real one and a fake one.
Right.
And
it's
the
same words.
And it's hard to tell the difference between a white supremacist and like a right-wing Twitter poster. I mean, what are the words that you would use to be the dog? Like your dog whistles are a changing standard every week, right?
Right.
Like there's a huge
and
elaborate
real.
whatever.
Anybody who's on left Twitter, we know how this shit works. Come on, we play our own games in terms of like we have our own things that we say,
I think all
eventually
public figures do that. I think all public.
Yeah, I mean they go out of fashion. You know, Soup for My Family has been like a recent one that's kind of now fading out of fashion. But like that's just an example of like that's the kind of thing that like when people say that on left Twitter,
for a whole sentence,
you know like, that they mean
Family Guy. You're like,
well, he was an opportunist. It's a shame.
I don't. Listen,
it's a shame.
Life doesn't give people opportunities very often. Listen.
Yeah, fair. I mean,
whatever.
Shoot your shot.
I know. His whole Twitter feed was just like, "I'm the guy. I'm the guy. I'm the guy." But anyway, Chuck Schumer loves weed. Chuck Schumer is cool. He's your cool dad or uncle or father figure.
Gonna go toke one up with my boy Chuck.
With your boy Chuck, and he's the Senate Majority Leader, and he does not want to be primaried by AOC. I think that's probably the most important thing of this entire thing. But
official American holiday.
420 is an unofficial American holiday, and he is now coming out as weed guy. Now, I don't mind this on a structural level. Like, it's good that a guy high up in the Senate wants to be weed guy because he sees which way the wind is blowing. Because Biden is a huge outlier. If anybody else had won, we'd have weed now. Like, we'd have legal weed already. If literally anyone had won but Biden.
Two that are in. Because if Kamala was president instead of VP, it would also be the same story. So it's like literally the two that got in are the two people that would never fucking go. Oh, actually, wait. We're forgetting someone important. We're forgetting about the Klobuchar Mentum.
No, Klobuchar was pro-weed.
Was she really?
Yes, Klobuchar and Pete were both better on weed than Biden was. We would be smoking it up like right now, and we are in the darkest weed timeline.
We're talking about weed?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was 420 yesterday. Of course we're
you
talking
came
about
to the right place. First of all, we need to intro y'all, but Chuck Schumer is out here talking about 420 is an unofficial American holiday. We're going to end the federal prohibition on marijuana. You know, he's trying to come out as the weed person.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just saying, like, it's good to have the institution at least answer to you, but Biden is president. And if anybody else but Biden had been elected on the Democrat side, we would all just have legal weed now. Keisha and Courtney Banks. Hello, how are y'all doing? What's up?
Hello.
The podcast. It's on Anchor. If you can follow either of them at any time, at Courtney Banks.
Sorry, my hair.
And if you start typing in one of the Keishas on Twitter or Instagram, you get it. Hey, what's up, y'all?
What up? Sorry, my hair is a hot mess. You know why? Because I didn't smoke enough weed today, so I really couldn't get it together.
It's good for hair growth. Yeah.
We were not on. We was not on yesterday. So like, this is the 420 episode.
Okay.
So if anybody needs to catch up watching at home, feel free to. You know.
Late, like all dope smokers typically are.
Oh, well.
Show up when you show up. There you go.
Put it in my phone wrong.
But anyway,
I've been texting Brandon since yesterday. I'll be there in 5 minutes, dog.
I'm right outside.
I'm right outside. You guys see me?
Almost there.
Oh no. Okay, how do y'all feel about this Chuck Schumer shit though? Like, do y'all feel, boy, we've got Chuck Schumer, we're gonna really do it? Or do y'all feel like this dude is just being fake and he wants to win an election, or some combination of the two?
I think Chuck Schumer definitely represents like the part of the Democratic Party that cares about staying in power, whereas like some of these people like do not care about retaining the power.
Yeah.
Pelosi would rather be a minority leader again. I think that's pretty obvious.
Because it gives you something to fight against.
Right, exactly. And she likes
fundraising against, and she is like considered dynamite fundraiser, so she loves Trump. Like in certain ways, was like
they need each other.
Casting, yeah. For
yeah.
And
I don't know. I mean, I think Schumer is just. Yeah, I agree. I think maybe he does care about kind of holding on to people, but I mean, if people are smart, they'll realize it's the same carrot they've been throwing, you know, like dragging along for years now. So, I mean, even when you think about like record expungement, you know, like remember when Obama was in office and he was like, oh, we're going to expunge everybody's records and this and that. And then but forgot to tell you that you had to get your own lawyer to do it. You have to like do it all on your own. Like if you're going to expunge the records. Like what is this? So I mean, I don't know if this Schumer thing's going to go anywhere.
Especially
Biden
because
said that's too hard to look through all the records and cross out all the ones that say
I was gonna say, all that is just pull up Excel, you highlight one row,
Control F.
Yeah. Delete on that mug and forget about it. It's done.
I hate to tell you this, but actually because of some slight miscommunications, there's actually 2 files you have to check. You have to go to one and then check, and then you have to go to the other one and look for their name there too. It's a real hassle.
Well, that's a shame. See, that's what happens. You left when people are so unrealistic. You didn't know that there were 2 forms instead of one. And this is just, there's a parliamentarian involved as well. It's just a whole mess.
Maybe in 2024, guys.
That's 2026. Let's not get crazy.
Like, let's slow it down a little bit. 2028 is really more like a.
If you don't stop.
Oh my god! right after we die, it's really gonna kick right in. I
think. That's the.
Yeah, I feel like the edibles on life haven't kicked in yet.
When does it?
I like that.
Good part kick in.
I feel like Nancy Pelosi would be really happy to be in UK politics and just get to be like a shadow finance minister or something like that and just yell about how she would have been better all day. Like that's really what she wants. She doesn't want this holding the reins thing at all, it seems like. But back to Schumer for a second. I want to say this, Brandon. You mentioned if almost anyone else was president, this weed thing would be getting, at the very least, it would be like there's a bill that's in committee and everybody's serious about it, and the president's giving speeches about it, saying like we're gonna get this done, like that kind of, even if it wasn't done yet. But I wonder, in that scenario, let's say Bernie Sanders or Marianne Williamson or someone else is president, and uh, do you think Chuck Schumer would still be weed guy in that world, or would he be like, we need to be careful?
I don't think he'd be really open and like against it, but he definitely would be like, hey, we need to exercise some caution. We got to be careful about whose records we sponge. We don't want to put dangerous people back on the streets.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking it'd have more to do with the donors behind the weed, no matter who was president. Like, I don't know exactly how Schumer would play it otherwise, but I think, like I worked in California for like a licensed weed place, and like they had all of the ins with like the city council, and they knew exactly where to put their weed dispensary so that it would be in a drug enforced zone, so that they could never, federal regulation wouldn't really affect them. So they knew all of these things and all these different laws they wanted to get passed already. So I feel like the only reason they're pushing it now is because rich white people have figured out how they do it.
How to monetize
ready to monetize.
Then they're like, it's great now.
Taxes, baby, taxes.
Well, it's interesting.
Opening up.
I definitely agree with you to a large extent. I will say, though, here it's actually kind of been the opposite, because all the rich white donors got into medical, and they're the reason New Mexico didn't have recreational like 8 years ago, or even before that, because since like 2007, 2008, there's been like a strong movement for recreational here. And like back in like 2010, when the first big poll was done here, it was like 60-70% approval, and then like now that it's finally passed, it's like 80-90% or whatever. And like the thing that held it back was just that all of the money was already in the medical marijuana industry, and these motherfuckers had their hands in the pockets of all of these like state congressional people and stuff. And it doesn't take a lot of money to buy off a state congressman, I bet. So,
Is it hard for them to pivot?
Right.
Is it hard for them to pivot from medical to dispensary? I feel like they should be celebrating this. I don't know.
You would think. I don't know what the deal was. It was like they.
I think they're not able to. If it's medical, I think their profit margin is different. Like I think they're maybe not able to make as much money. And medical, they can kind of like regulate it better. In theory, they can track you a little bit better. That's the only thing I can think. But I mean, any good dispensary that you go to is going to ask you, what are you coming in for? Oh, my back hurts. Oh, I have a headache, my jaw, whatever. You know what I mean? And try to like send you on the right track. But I mean, if you don't smoke weed, you wouldn't know that, I guess. Like,
yeah,
the people that are making. I mean, I don't think Chuck Schumer is sitting around, rolling up a doobie. I doubt it.
Well, I think the profit margin is a huge deal. The states that have recreational, eventually the price goes way down. There's an initial boom where there's way too much demand and not enough product, but that ends. And then eventually, like you go to Colorado right now looking to buy weed, you can get a whole ounce for under $100 of good stuff, like easy, because everybody's desperate to sell it. But the medical, when you only have medical, the medical industry is able to make so much money comparatively. I think that's like the main thing that held it back here, and some other places that had the same kind of issue. Is just that like when all you have is this one option and it's kind of tightly held onto like that, then like people just pay whatever.
Yeah, you can definitely see that. I mean, being close to DC, like Court worked on the legal side. I worked on the illegal side. But anyway, but like a lot of people
Community
here-
service side.
Yeah, relatable.
Private sector. Huh?
She's a boots on the ground.
it's
Extra
private.
private sector.
Yeah.
Reserve.
But people couldn't, I mean, because it's not federally legal here, you know, a lot of people had a federal job or, you know, people were still questioning them. So that affected the price a lot. You know, I mean, we just charge an upcharge for everything because like, well, you know, we're risking it by even coming to you. So, I mean,
Right.
it's interesting because like in California, the prices went.
They were
just,
all
like,
over the place.
Yeah, like it was weird because there's that like gray area in the beginning, I think, where it's like halfway legal kind of. So, you know, you might be able to find a deal, but for the most part, I think it just got like too restrictive and too expensive. I don't know.
But also then like because of the licensing, only a few brands were available too. So it's just like they're really clutching down on the entry points of like, you know, getting other people, other growers, other, you know, producers out there. And that's what's going to kill the industry, I feel like.
Right. And the same with edibles, actually. There's this lady I follow, she's called like Cannabis Nurse, I think. But she's in Maryland and she was talking about the edibles because like she does a lot for like, she has some kind of like chronic disease. So she does a lot of pain management. And she was saying, oh, great. Now Maryland is going to restrict the number of milligrams per, you know, per edible. And the same thing happened in California. And it was like, I mean, you can't, a 10 milligram gummy is just not going to cut it. It's like you're wasting your money at that point.
Right.
So it sucks for us, obviously.
If you're trying to go legit.
Kyle, have you ever tried CBD?
Yeah, I have, and apparently so is my mom now. I leave the house and everything just goes crazy.
Okay.
My sister wanted to try some, my younger sister. But
Kyle, tell me your CBD story.
Okay, so like a friend of mine was coming from Jackson. He was in a van with like 3 other people, and they were coming into Atlanta. And he didn't even know I was here. I think he just texted me randomly. I was like, hey, you know I'm in Atlanta. I go to school here. So I did school, and we drove around in hey, another Jackson person, the producer. And so we were just in a van all day, kind of smoking and going around the town. But yeah, he had like a pin of CBD.
We still don't like CBD with any THC amount is like illegal.
I think it's like under a certain amount, right? Or there's a tolerance.
Correct. Yeah, there's like a 0.3 or something like that.
I think that's the number. Yeah.
But like, you can go just anywhere and get it.
You have to have like a medical license, right?
No, you don't have to have anything. Like you can just go to a grocery store practically. Like
I'm thinking of the medical. Like
yeah. No,
CBD.
You can go to,
You can go to the grocery store.
You can go to a gas station and get it now.
Mm-hmm.
And
but then it's like, how do you know if it's any good? Like,
I know,
how do you know the testing and stuff? Like,
and like all these different people have CBD companies now because I think it's easier to get the licensing. There's less restriction on it, you know. So like Real Housewives people have CBD companies, and I'm like, I don't trust you.
Right, like buying gas station CBD just feels kind of seedy. I'm actually not sure. Can I get it? Like, do you have to be 21? Like with cigarettes now, which sucks.
I forgot that you're. Like,
oh yeah, I forgot the cigarette age change.
Yeah, no, it's really shitty. I didn't smoke, but I would buy smokes for my friends, and now I can't. You know, it was. Honestly, that was the worst thing Donald Trump did in office.
That was a bizarre thing that he did too. Like, why?
I'm surprised that the tobacco companies let him.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm incredibly not shocked, but surprised. Listen, I want to talk about this CDC stuff. I want to talk about masks. I don't want to I love the weed game. Oh wait, are there any other weed? Like, is there other things that are weed related that we should be hitting here? Are we
should be hitting here?
Let me just move on. Listen, let's talk about this thing with the masks. The governor of Arizona is rescinding orders that direct K through 12 schools to require masks, which means in Arizona, which is one of America's worst states, it's going to be
For COVID and just in general.
Generally,
Yeah.
it's going to be a gross, ridiculous nightmare. And just in time to attack the state of Arizona and to bully Arizonans. Alyssa, are you get your thing in here? Our surprise guest. We'll get Alyssa in here when she gives us the thumbs up.
I just want to say this is fucked up for me because the last time or every time so far is really what I should say that Arizona has had a spike. They've like overwhelmed New Mexico hospitals. So like everybody here is getting tired of that shit. Let me just tell you, get your shit together, Arizona. Quit acting like, oh yeah, all our free market nonsense is fine until actually it's not working and we have to send patients over to a more progressive state that has like more social safety net so that like they don't die.
And I think in the middle of this is just like the CDC has had like awful messaging from the very start of this pandemic.
Yes. I think that's gone understated because people have been like so stressed out and so outraged by Trump, who is just like intentionally sending the virus to states where there were more Democrats and shit like that. Trump was like out committing biological warfare. So like regular FEMA levels of historic incompetence just kind of go fly under the radar. But like
anybody that got a Trump stimulus check, he coughed on that to make sure.
Oh my goodness. By the way, you're probably not wrong, but you know what? That shit'll still cash. I bet it'll still cash.
Florida man coughs on stimulus checks.
Listen, Alyssa, hello, how are you? Let's talk about how you've been. Where are you? What are you doing now?
I've been a person. That's a lie. That's a bold-faced lie. I've been struggling, but I'm okay. It's been a wild ride. COVID's obviously not doing any better where I live. People are fucking ignorant. And I'm like getting to the point where I'm like, there's new variants in COVID and there's new variants in ignorance. Let's just
Shelby McFadden is in the studio, by the way, and she'll be here in just like a couple of minutes. We're gonna take a break in a couple of minutes, but I do want to talk about just how everybody's been dealing with. I mean, hopefully, well, first of all, how hopeful are y'all about the virus? And like, is your state, do you feel like it's getting in the rear view, or do you feel like it's getting worse? Or like, I don't know. You guys take it away. Does anyone let's start with this. Does anyone feel optimistic about their state's handling of the virus?
I feel optimistic about Atlanta's virus handling. Go ahead, Kennedy.
I mean, I was gonna say I feel somewhat optimistic about where I live here in New Mexico. It's been handled okay overall. There's been some real stumbles though, and my concern is that, you know, the governor and everybody else is starting to, you know, just kind of mostly go along with the Biden line that this is over, and we can start moving on for the most part. And she's not saying it or doing it in the same fast or direct way as a Republican is right now, you know, where like these Republican governors are literally just like, yeah, we're literally reopening everything today. But it's the same.
Like, see how many Tinder connects you can make. Just go out. Go nuts.
All right, listen, we're going to take a break. We're going to chill out. And then we're just going to literally hang out with Shelby McFadden. We're going to hear her story. We're going to all hang out. We're going to have a good time. Amy, hit that button. And we'll see y'all in, I don't know, 60 seconds. Is that the time? 60 seconds? Yeah. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Thank you for hanging out, being here with us. Get out of there. Thank you guys, first of all, for following. This is a good time to remind you to, if you want to, hit like. If you want to, subscribe. If you want to, comment. Because we read your comments all the time, and we just love doing it. And this is really a show that is all about the people. Shelby McFadden is here, and we are literally just going to hang out. We're going to talk. We're going to have a good time. Shelby, what's up? How you doing?
Hi.
You're looking. Yeah, you sound great. You're looking great.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, listen. I think the easiest way to start is to talk about just what is your Kickstarter. You've got it. It's really good. I'm going to pull it up on the screen, but I'm sure that like you can explain your inspiration and all that good stuff while we're here.
Yes. So there it is. Yes. So I started a Kickstarter campaign on April 1st. And I got the idea because during COVID, all of last year, everybody's on lockdown, can't go anywhere, can't do anything. So you got to find, an outlet for all of this, creativity that we all have. And I was on this journey of baking. I'm not a baker. I know how to cook. I fed my kids for 18 years, kept them alive, got them off to college, but I was never a baker if it didn't come out of a box. So I had this idea in 2019. I want to bake something. I just want something homemade that I made myself. I didn't want no box ingredient mix or anything like that. Well, when you're baking, the ingredients can be expensive, and the most expensive ingredient is vanilla extract. So in the process of purchasing more vanilla, more ingredients, I just looked on the bottle to see what was in vanilla extract. And it's literally 2 ingredients, vanilla beans and alcohol. So I'm like, well, why can't I make it myself? I'm a scientist. That's my background. I've spent 30 years in a laboratory. So this was like right up my alley. So I bought some vanilla beans, did some research, and start making extracts. So it started out, I just was making them for me because I wanted to use them in my ingredients in my baking. And, I shared it with my mom and some friends, but it turned into this thing where I could literally, turn it into a business, make money off of my extracts. And I wanted this money to fund my baking, my ultimate goal of, baking and selling my cakes and pies and things like that. So this became my first product that I'm bringing to market. And I have just taken vanilla extract on a journey. So different alcohols, different beans, and just, the whole branding and packaging them up. So Kickstarter has allowed me to raise money for my business to expand it because I've funded everything. No one has given me, any money. I have a full-time day job. I'm an IT consultant now. So I've funded this whole thing myself. And I've had, support of family and friends with the process, along the way. But I want to do it full time. But to do it full time, I have to, expand my product line. I have to have product to sell, and Kickstarter just allows me to crowdfund, raise money for my business so I can now just ramp it up and go full force because now I have a whole line of products I want to bring to market.
So before we start talking about how all that stuff works and your personal backstory, when you started, because a lot of people who watch this are activists or have got their own projects and they're like, boy, I'd like to start a Kickstarter. Who did you reach out to get started and your initial?
For me, I honestly, when I started the whole research on the vanilla itself and how to make the extract and turning this into a business, I literally binge watched Shark Tank. So I literally sat here every night, until 3 o'clock. My daughter can tell you, I drove her bananas. 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm watching TV and she's like, turn the TV down. I'm watching Shark Tank. I'm doing vanilla extracts. I'm coming up with formulas. And what kept coming up consistently with a lot of projects was this crowdfunding. I knew nothing about crowdfunding, absolutely nothing. Didn't even know what it was. So again, I had to do more research. What is this crowdfunding? And so I found out there's several platforms. So I looked at probably 5 different companies that have crowdfunding and found out, what is this? What do you do? So what Kickstarter and these other platforms are is you put yourself out there. You put your products out there, whatever it is. It could be you're producing a video and you need money to bring that video to life. You got a board game, all kind of stuff. You put yourself out there and you say, hey, I just want to raise so many dollars, but you need to offer them something to draw them in. So I'm offering my products to people that back me, and I send them my products and I get the funding from them. And then if your campaign comes to life, you get the funds.
Let's talk about the actual product itself. How does a person make vanilla extract at all? It's just so in terms of the ingredients, it's pretty easy. Do you just like mash it up and wait? You've got a whole bunch of different kinds here, so it feels like the process is a little more complex than just that.
It can be as easy or as complex as you want. I'm a complex person, so I don't do anything. I do easy stuff, but I overdo it a lot of time. I'm an overachiever. My friends.
Boy, that's our entire ethic.
So I always overdo stuff. So literally, it is 2 ingredients. It is 80 proof and higher alcohol and vanilla beans. And all you have to do is be patient. You just have to be a patient person, which I'm not most of the time. You just let the beans sit in the alcohol, and it just draws out the flavor. And that's it.
It does the same thing for the other ones. That's the same for like cinnamon, lemon extract.
Yes. So the thing with all of the ingredients, you have to figure out how much time do I have to wait. So each ingredient, the timing is different. So the vanilla can go the longest. You can let it sit for a year. The longer it sits, the stronger the flavor is, the better it is. Cinnamon is very porous spice. You can let it sit for a month, pull it out, it's good. So it just depends. So I spent a whole year developing, how long does this take? How long do I need for this? So along the way, you test it. Yeah, but the vanilla is the best because it can just sit there for months and months and months. The longer it is, the better it is.
So
now,
I'm curious, like, so you originally start this project as just something to do during the pandemic, which I think we can all immensely relate to. Certainly finding new hobbies and things. So at some point you decide, okay, it's time to start taking this a little more seriously. Especially for people out there who might be like thinking about, like Brandon was saying before, starting some kind of project in their own life. What were like your biggest sort of like fears and hurdles between you and the Kickstarter? Like, the point where you're at now where you're like, okay, I'm really putting this business out there. I'm trying to make this happen.
The biggest fear, I'll tell you, it was probably me. I was afraid to just take that leap. You have to be that's number one. You got to be willing to just I've heard someone say, I think it was Steve Harvey. You step out on faith. You just step out there, just take a chance. So that was the biggest hurdle. Then it is, figuring out exactly what you want to do. And it's easier to focus on one thing at a time because I have so many. I have about 5 different products I want to bring to market up under my Twisted Sister umbrella, but I can't do all 5. I can't do them. You have to focus. So you have to be focused on at least like 1 or 2 good things. Then you just have to organize and put all of this stuff together. There's a lot of little steps and you have to be dedicated. I'm literally still a lot of times up till 3 o'clock in the morning. I have a full-time job during the day that pays the bills and has been funding this. I have to give that job 100%, but I still have to put in the hours for this business if I want it to work. So I'm sacrificing a lot of my personal time to do it, and you have to be willing to do that. So if you can, focus, step out on faith, and then sacrifice the commitment, the time that you need, you can make it happen. And I've had a good support system. My family has been absolutely great. I drive them crazy, but they love me. And it's like, okay, Shelby, okay, I'll do it. You can hear it when they're kind of like, and then I have to back off. I have to give them a break. But yeah, if you got a good support system, you can do it. It took me a long time to get this Kickstarter there. My daughter did the video, and I was so nervous. I was so nervous and she kept asking me, when are you going to start it? When are you going to start it? When are you going to start it? But it took a long time for me to get there, and then I just stepped out on faith and I did it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, we've done videos and promotional stuff sometimes, and like we can tell when one is good now because of like, oh, that's a nice transition and stuff like that. So like we could definitely tell that there was a lot of care that was put into that. So listen, how does this this that you made, how has it helped your cooking?
Oh, I can honestly tell you, I know I'm going to be biased, of course, I made the vanilla, but I can honestly tell you, vanilla that you make yourself or a homemade vanilla, 10 times hands down better than anything you're going to buy in a store. So
I can only imagine having like a pound cake made with vanilla you've been like fermenting for a year.
Yes, it is.
I haven't eaten today, and my mouth is like watering.
That vanilla comes through like nobody's business. You will definitely be able to tell the difference. So you're probably wondering, well, how can you? It's vanilla. Well, the biggest difference is when you buy it at the grocery store, they're mass producing it. So if you look at there's an additional ingredient on there. There's water. Because instead of them just taking the alcohol, letting it sit to mass produce it, you use a very, very high proof alcohol, but you have to dilute it out. Then you can make so much more. But to me, just for me, what I found, the quality of the extract is not the same when you do that. If you just patiently let it sit for a couple months, mine goes at least 4 to 6 months, you're going to get way better vanilla than on the shelf. So it's just being patient.
I think a lot of homemade food is kind of like that. I'm a big advocate of like good food and homemade food, and definitely like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that people think of as unremarkable ingredients that can be, or unremarkable dishes or things like that can be really good when they're prepared with great ingredients, with care, with care all the way up too. That makes a huge difference, because if one step in the chain of your ingredients is somebody who doesn't give a shit, then the whole thing is kind of whatever to some extent.
It shows in your final product.
I want to sound like a cheesy mom too, but like I really am a firm believer in like that when you make something with love, or as Kennedy was saying, with that care, you can taste it. Like it's just Man, I'm hungry.
Listen, we've chosen a hungry conversation. It's funny that you mentioned that because I was going to say, how do you know? Like, how do you become a good baker? In the same way that like an artist, like I was talking to somebody, I was like, an artist can look at their sketchbook from like 10 years ago and like see a difference between what they could do like 10 years ago and now. Like for somebody that's a baker or is into cooking, what is the difference like in years of development?
I'll tell you my experience. So like I say, I cook. I kept my kids alive, they did fine. I can cook. But anytime I had to bake something, it came out of a box. It was then you just add a few ingredients, mix it up, boom. But baking, you have to be precise. You just have to be. Not that I'm not a precise person. Now, for me, it's easy being precise because of my background. Like you say, I'm a med tech. That is my background, and that's what we do in the laboratory. You have to be precise. So when I'm diagnosing somebody with a disease, I can't half-step it. I have to be precise. So for me, transitioning to baking, following a recipe, being precise, it was easy. Now I baked. The first thing I baked was cornbread. I wanted cornbread. I'm a Jiffy cornbread person. That's what I kind of grew up on.
Hey, that's right.
Well, let me tell you, I will never eat Jiffy again because I worked on a cornbread recipe and I will never eat Jiffy again. So now I make my own cornbread. And now my family's like, okay, Shelby, bring the cornbread.
It's like a sweet cornbread, right?
Yeah.
Versus like a skillet, yeah.
So it's one of those things. So you taste you can taste the difference. It shines through. So you like candy yams. That's been my family's thing with me for years. You'll never see a can of that in my house ever. I buy the potatoes, I cut it up, and I don't even tell them what I put in it. They just know Shelby's bringing it and it's good. That's all they care. That's all they care.
So you get the invite back.
It's funny. It's funny you would mention the precision because I feel like it's baking. It's either really precise or it's the way my grandmother does it. She has her like rolls recipe, and she knows like that. This recipe has not been written down maybe in like 40 years, and she just knows a pinch of this, a little bit of that, and it turns out perfect every time.
Right? Yes, or like you try and get grandma's recipe and she writes it down and you're like, what the fuck?
Right. Or she writes it down and you follow it and it does not turn out
and
right.
It doesn't take
I've got some grandma recipes that are like that from my very southern grandma that are like, you add a little bit, and if that's not enough, you add a little bit more.
A little bit more.
I am only like that.
My grandma was like, put it in the oven, and I'm like, for what temp? How long?
Until it's done. You put it in until it's done.
That's how
I am with spaghetti sauce. So it's like you just. It's just like a pinch of this and a pinch of that. You keep going and you keep it on the stove until it tastes good. You know.
Spaghetti sauce, like some cooking, you can truly just get away with that. Like spaghetti sauce, one of those things. But baking, it's so much harder, and
because you can't go back when you bake it, and when you put it in the oven and it comes out, it's done. It's kind of you can't hide the fact that you forgot the vanilla, that you forgot the sugar. You can't hide it. Versus when you cook something, I didn't put enough salt. Let me put some more in there. You can add to it.
Right,
but baking, no, you have to get it right before you put it in the oven. So it is. It's just much more precise. But I do have a couple recipes. I'm like your grandma. I just need a pinch of this because I've taken someone else's recipe and I've tweaked it. So what I'm better at doing now is when I'm tweaking, I'm writing down what I'm changing. So I know it's a pinch of this, but my daughter wouldn't know, and she likes to cook and bake. She wouldn't know unless she had the recipe. So things like that, yes. It's a lot of trial and error, a lot of tasting. I've gained a lot of weight, baking a lot of cakes. I do all my stuff. So I have gained weight.
Now you know the real reason why we got you on this show.
Yes. I taste all of my products. I will own every pound cake that I've partaken in. I own it.
Okay, Shelby, I have a question. So how do you, you're making cakes, so like you're making vanilla extract. I'm sure you want people like your friends, your family to try the extract and like, get your like first clients or whatever when you're having a similar problem. How do you were you charging your family? Like how do you get your first buyers?
So here's what I did. So of course in the process of making the vanilla, for me to figure out at what time do I want to go ahead and, bottle it up so I can sell it, but it has to be good enough to bottle it up. So of course, the first person I went to was my mom. She's an excellent baker, to test things out, because even though I will like it, of course I'm making it, I'm going to try my best to like it. she will taste it and she'll be like, it's not quite there. It's not quite there. So
unfortunately, ours is weed related, so our mom can't try ours.
so,
She's not going to help us out.
She was my first.
Okay, we're friends. Got it. We're fine.
Yeah, so she was my first one. But then I found out, just talking to people, hey, this is what I'm doing. And they're like, oh, I bake all the time. I use vanilla all the time. It is so expensive. Hey, do you want to try it out? Can you be one of my testers? And that's what I did. So I have a group of about 5 or 6 women. That's what they do. They like to bake. And so they're like my official testers. When I come out with a new, like I have a whole new vanilla bean. I'm like on pins and needles. I should get it this week. When I am ready for that extract, I have 5 people. I'm going to give it to them and they're going to test it out because I need them to be able to truly test it and say, yes, Shelby, this is good. No, it needs a little more time. I'm going to test it and it's going to be okay, unless I truly can't test it. But I just had to, it was my inner circle more so of people that and it has to be someone you trust. They have to be brutally honest. And you have to be able to take the criticism. You have to be able to take it. The criticism is not to hurt you. It's to help you.
Right.
So you can't take it personal.
When you've made a vanilla extract for like 6 months, and then somebody tries it, and they're like, "It's not very good."
For me, at the first time, that's a good point. The first time I heard it, I'm like, really? 6 months? Really? Really? You don't taste anything?
You want to try that again?
Right. But instead of me, holding on to that, why don't they taste it thing? I had to realize what bean did they try? Because every bean is different. Every bean is different. I'm using about 6 different alcohols too for my extract. Every alcohol is different. It's going to might give it a little extra flavor. So that's why I had to let go of that personal, they don't like my stuff. That wasn't it. That bean needed more than 6 months. And some of them do need more than 6 months because I don't want to introduce anything other than the natural process on making my extracts. So I just had to let it sit. And guess what? That 6-month bean that the person didn't like, at 8 months, it came out beautiful. And now the girl says it's her favorite one.
Nice. I mean,
so that one, I know that particular bean and that particular alcohol has to go for at least 8 months. But I know anything past that is beyond good. So you just can't don't personalize it. They're not trying to hurt your feelings. But you got to take that and say, what do I need to do to make it so that when they taste it again, they love it? That's what you just have to not personalize it. They're not trying to hurt your feelings, but you need them to be honest. I needed her to be honest with me. What if I put it out and nobody likes it?
They're like, this is just alcohol.
Right. All of alcohol.
Put Smirnoff out of business.
I'll say this too. I've done a lot of food businesses in my life, and food is really one of those things where if it's good enough, it sells itself.
That's right.
It's not hard. Once your product reaches a certain level of quality, it's not hard to get customers at all.
Yes.
It's just a matter of reaching that level of quality, having enough money, resources, blah, blah, etc. to get there, all that stuff. But like, if you can hit that level of quality where like your food is something that people are just like getting addicted to, like they need it because they're eating this crummy food in other places. And then they're like, dang, I got to get some more of that vanilla extract or, whatever it is. Or, back when I was farming, like a big thing was duck eggs. I get people hooked on those amazing, these are just unlike a regular egg that you buy. People get hooked on that. They're coming back, they're spending $70 on eggs. Just one person.
Wait, how much is one duck?
First of all, Keisha is already
$70
He's already sized you up. She's like, I'm gonna get in there and get in this duck egg game.
How much is one duck egg?
Okay, so the highest we ever sold dozens for it to a regular outlet, which was like a butcher shop in a bougie part of Asheville, was we were selling them to the butcher shop for I think $14 a dozen, and then they were selling them for $19 a dozen.
Are you shitting me? Oh, I'm not muted. Sorry. I just picked up my eggs from the food pantry today.
That is a lot, but these are like
These are duck eggs.
Alyssa, you gotta imagine, like, you know, the YouTube videos where they have the people where they just make up like a $3,000 version of any plate, and it's just like, yeah, we just sprinkle gold on it. Like, this will be for that. They'll just be like an egg. Oh yeah, we got a duck egg. This is.
I hate those videos. I hate them so much. They're like, oh, look at these gold spritz chicken wings. I'm like, people are dying.
Kyle,
starving out here.
And stuff to the side. Let's just be real for a minute. Would you eat some gold-plated lemon pepper wings?
I mean, like, when are you gonna get that opportunity again? When are you gonna get that opportunity again? Right?
Am I paying for it? Is the question.
No, Alyssa, these are free lemon pepper wings.
I mean, I'm not going to turn down wings.
Yeah, right.
A grown-ass woman.
But you have to look into the camera and say, I also approve of gold flaked lemon pepper wings as a concept. I don't think it's delicious and fits into my ideal society.
Wait, how many wings?
Is it
my ideal society has gold plated wings.
You have to endorse the wings.
No, I need to know how many. At this point, I need to know how many wings. Because if it's like 6, there's no chance.
First of all, I don't know how many.
You also run the risk, though, of let's say that there is this magical deliciousness to them. Am I going to have to pay for them again in the future? Is this going to spoil the wings that I'm currently eating?
I can already tell you the answer to that question is no. Everyone who has ever eaten gold leaf food is just like, it tastes like food with some weird stuff on it.
I think an important distinction you have to make is this like, do they just like put some gold shavings on top of the chicken? Or is there a thin film of gold like on the chicken as a sauce?
Okay, wait. There's a video. I don't know if anybody else has seen this, but there's this, for lack of better terminology, just like the giantest douche I've ever seen, like a walking, talking douchebag who eats like this plate, and he's wearing a bunch of gold chains. Everything's like gold, but then he goes and he's eating them, and he's just got like gold just around his dirty little mouth.
Shelby, you need to
dirty little mouth.
You need to be the arbitrator on this. Do you have a verdict on gold chicken wings? Would you buy one? Would you eat one? Would you care? Do you feel like it's wasteful? Would you just want to have fun trying one?
I would try it. I would try it.
I think everyone.
And I would be brutally honest if I didn't like this gold crap on my chicken. I just
because the chicken is fine, the gold doesn't taste like anything.
Well, and then like, what's it look like coming out the other end? And then we go back to the gluttony of this.
Okay,
like, how's it feel?
You got a medical
like, bad rounded Taco Bell afterwards. Like, what?
I think a big problem with this entire thing is this is a conversation we're all having while we're hungry. So we've all been thinking about baking. We'll eat gold-plated chicken wings. We'll eat anything with chicken in it. We don't care.
At this
Shelby, you were a medical laboratory scientist.
Yes.
And so when we talk about like baking, you're like, this is baby stuff. How do you become a medical laboratory scientist? Is that harder than making wings?
No.
Okay.
It's not that, I didn't have to, go through a lot to become one. For me, I had the privilege of the United States Navy, paying for my first 2-year degree. And it was one of those things where, I didn't know what it took to get in college. My, mom didn't go to college, and school didn't tell me I could have got scholarships, grants. So the Navy came knocking on my door. Hey, we'll pay for you to go to school, do this. And I'm like, hey, okay, it was free education. I was only supposed to do it for 5 years. But what it did afford me was a really good medical background and this creativity with experiments. I mean, that's basically what we do, are experiments. And we just have these, very expensive pieces of equipment. And so you have the option of having a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree, and we all do the same job no matter what degree we have. It's just a matter of, how far do you want to advance in that field? I ended up getting my 4-year degree and ended up being a supervisor of a trauma center in my local area and a manager of a reference lab. But that was never, my heart was never there. And along the way, this big, nice career, I always had a side gig. So this is truly not my first venture into doing something for myself. My kids will tell you I always had a side gig, but it was just that. It was just a side gig. So I needed some money one year. I made calendars for people. I made probably about $500 or $600 during Christmas, just making calendars.
Nice.
So I do photography on the side. My daughter has taken that up. That's why she did the video and stuff. So I did weddings. And all that stuff just as a side gig. This with the extracts is the one thing that has truly stuck because it just relates to what I was already doing in the laboratory. I literally have laboratory equipment here that I've been able to leverage with me developing my products. Whereas if you're doing it on your own, you wouldn't know to buy these things. My daughter's like, what the heck is this? What is this? Are we in the hospital or are we at home?
You have to use those like spinners to
yes.
for the tubes and stuff.
Yeah, I have pipettes. I have the little heat plates with the spinners. Oh yeah, it's like a little laboratory. I took over half my place here with extract stuff and lab stuff. We couldn't barely cook in the kitchen because I took over the entire kitchen. So we were eating out for about 2 months. Yeah.
Anybody can get themselves a bottle of this.
Yes.
Right? $10 as a donation to this Kickstarter. They get a bottle. They can spend a little less. They can get a mug for $8. You can get a calendar for a little more. Like there's a whole big.
I have a whole list of rewards. It depends on how much do you want to support, my business. And the more you support, the more I will give to you as a part of that. And then you will have these awesome products. And that is, what I'm offering on Kickstarter is not my full line of products, but kind of a sample to get people, interested in me and my brand.
Right. Once you have this stuff, how long does it keep? Like
forever.
Okay. So once you got it, this is in your cooking forever. What are some dishes that I can use this on?
Oh my gosh. Like you said, I primarily use it for baking, but like the vanilla itself, you can put in your coffee, your tea. I put it in my oatmeal, just, any, dish. You can put it in your ice cream, desserts, whipped cream, vanilla inside. If you put it in whipped cream, is totally awesome. Same with the spices.
Consider this a $10 ticket to like a gourmet day in your life. Because you will be getting something that's like made by a professional medical scientist to provide the maximum amount of flavor while you are in the kitchen. Let's face it, you can't cook. You don't know what you're doing. You're not going to make anything that tastes really good. However, this is something where you put it in your cake and suddenly your cake is great. Or you find some cake and it's a little average and suddenly it's good. You made some coffee. Suddenly your coffee is not just a coffee, but is a conversation piece that you can talk about because you also listen to this.
Absolutely.
You also know her whole story. So not only are you having like one of the best culinary experiences of your year going into the summer, but you're telling a friend, you're spreading the word, you're being a good member of the community, and you're getting closer to your friends who do this show because we're telling you to do it. And so you've got something to tell us about. When you buy this Twisted Sister with Flavor vanilla extract, maybe get a mug too. Just get it all.
Sorry, I was going to ask how much longer is the Kickstarter going for?
So I only set it for 30 days. So I have 9 more days to reach my goal. But have no fear. If I don't reach my goal, it'll be disappointing. But that's not the end of Twisted Sister with Flavor. I have a website. Almost everything on Kickstarter will be available on my website. What I've turned my website into now is a kind of a direction to Kickstarter. So if you go to my website now, it'll direct you to click to Kickstarter to support the campaign. Once the campaign is over, you go to my website, you can purchase almost everything, but I made Kickstarter a little more attractive. So there are items on Kickstarter that I will not immediately make available on my website. So that was kind of the other opportunity I had. And I'm using that as a test market.
Yeah. You want to move, you want to get this stuff now. Don't think too much because it's on right now. Kickstarter, big attractive offer, big discount. You want to move now. Get it. And because you can get this stuff shipped to you. Like next week, you can just have it and be using it and enjoying it.
Brandon, $10 for vanilla extract is a deal, no matter how you look at it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, with the vanilla that I'm offering on Kickstarter, you will not be disappointed. My mom, who was, I'd say, my original tester, I saw her last weekend. And she told me she would not accept the small 2-ounce bottle that I was bringing her anymore. She wanted a bigger bottle of vanilla extract.
Right.
Like, don't bring me that little bottle. I want a big one. I said, okay. So if that tells you, and she's not telling me that just because she's my mom. No, she really likes it. She really likes it. So now I have to get her a 10-ounce bottles to keep her happy. And I will do that.
Can you imagine, like, listen, we've done, Shelby, we did, like, a few months ago, we did a hot sauce panel. And we would just get, like, our friends would get some of the meanest hot sauce. It's called Dragon's Blood hot sauce.
Oh, Lord.
Out of the Southwest, and we would just all just dose ourselves and just like fan ourselves eating this nuclear hot sauce. Maybe we do, but see, like if we're doing something like that with y'all, I feel like that's going to be a cooler and more comforting experience, you know, than us just all crying trying to
you put vanilla extract in the milk that you use after you drink the
there we go.
Actually, he is absolutely right. You do. You put a few drops in the milk after the hot sauce, so you get cooled off with vanilla.
I just gotta say, shouts out to Dragon's Blood though. We gotta collaborate with them again because I'm running out of that hot sauce.
I feel like there is a ceiling for like how good a hot sauce could be. Like, why is about like what's considered hot in a Thai restaurant? I feel like that's about as hot as I want to go. But
we're having a little tsunami incoming, Shelby. It looks like some of the gang from Left Flank is popping in.
That's cool. I saw Marcus from Left for Vet.
Yeah, we saw Marcus following.
That's cool.
I don't know what all these emotes are.
I was just gonna say I don't know what these emojis mean, but they're cool.
That's cool. Oh, there are people that I have watching this. That's so weird.
Okay. Wait, Kyle, I gotta dig into this with you. You just said, like, oh, if it's hotter than like hot at a Thai food restaurant, then I don't know. But hot at a Thai food restaurant is like some of the hottest food imaginable sometimes. Are you just going to like not so hot Thai places?
No.
I'm
not saying that. I'm not saying that feeling of enjoyability is low. I'm just saying that it exists. I like spicy food, but when I can't taste like the flavors, all I taste is heat. I think that's where I tap out.
All right, fair enough. I'm just saying, like, if you're saying you eat Thai hot, that's not nothing.
Kyle,
I don't do it all the time. Even
Kyle, tell me your most brutal hot sauce experience.
Oh God, I know this one. Okay, so I went with my friend and his mom to Arkansas because they have like this rock pile you could dig through and try and find like opals or something. It sounds way more. It sounds more fun than it actually was. But afterwards, we went and got like crawfish, and the crawfish restaurant like asked us like, "How do you want these? Like mild, medium, hot?" And they were like, "We're gonna get the hottest." And so I was like, "Oh, all right. I mean, sure." I'm like 11, so I wasn't even really into spicy food then. So I'm sitting here. I bring the crawfish up to my lips. It just burns the skin around my lip, basically.
God.
So I'm just suffering there, just like quietly whimpering while I eat crawfish. I was hungry.
Courtney and Keisha, let's talk. What's your hot sauce story? What's your definitive? What's your best one that's on your mind?
Before you guys say that, which one is Courtney and which one is Keisha? I meant to ask that like an hour ago.
I'm Courtney.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
All right, now I know.
Nina.
Our definitive hot sauce story. Ooh.
I have not.
Yeah, just tell us a good hot sauce story.
I mean, I try to stay away from hot sauce as much as possible.
Here's the thing, like we're black, but like we're squares.
I didn't do like a very black fisherman voice. Courtney and Keisha, tell us a good hot sauce story. Like, listen, I'm gonna ask Lisa too. Like,
there's no hot sauce at church.
There's no hot sauce at church.
No.
Only church.
Like, I mean, we only recently have even started branching out a little bit in our food, I would say.
Oh, it looks cool. Hey, would y'all be willing to try a little dragon's blood? Because we
You're such a dick.
Like, really crack y'all open.
I would be willing to try it.
Like we just started this. Hey, how about you try this one hot sauce that we all cried and were miserable
murder
over?
sauce.
Yes. This is the real entertainment.
If you drink just like almond milk or soy milk or like hemp milk, does that have the same effect, or does it have to be full vitamin D milk?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think it is something about milk, because otherwise you could just use water.
Like,
I thought it was.
Milk.
I thought the milk was a myth, but
I think you can just use water or bread. I don't think you have to use. I don't think there's a law that says you have to use.
Well, I will say for the record, the milk does. I forget exactly what it does, but it does do something in particular. I also see for the record, though, that although I'm not personally a big drinker, actually alcohol is your true exit door from extreme mouth burn. Beer.
Yeah, we'll try some of that dragon.
Let's go.
It's the fat in milk, apparently. The capsaicin, the spicy thing is fat soluble. So that's what it is.
Whereas alcohol just strips your mouth. You know, you're just paint thinner.
Stripper in your mouth.
I was in West Atlanta. I was working with Rogelio Arcilla. He's the city council candidate, West Atlanta. We're talking about police violence, police brutality, economic justice, poverty, all of that. And we're talking to like some local businesses, and one of the businesses was like a barbecue, and so we was in like West Atlanta chopping it up with one of these little barbecue owners, and as we were having a conversation about his life, and him and his family trying to get out. And this being like a business that he started, I'm in the military, and just all of these good stories. He's just like, hey, you want some hot sauce? And it became a thing because Rogelio, being the Latino, they wanted to like knock Rogelio on his ass with the hot sauce. You can't go to a business that's a barbecue and a barbecue owner is like, try the hot sauce. You're going to be like, no. Because that's not cool.
Which barbecue was it?
Oh man, I'll plug it like at the end of this entire segment because they're really dope.
I'm always trying to find new barbecue places in Southwest Atlanta.
It's One Time Barbecue in West Atlanta. Yeah, and they're like by the Kroger, like that big Kroger, and by the Popeyes. So like if you know where the Kroger,
that's right next.
Yeah, like Kroger and the Popeyes, like on West Side. But anyway. They you came out with the hot sauce, and it was like scalding hot. Like if you ever had something that's really so hot that it's like thin, like it's just skinny hot, like it's like a little magma that's just floating in your throat and just getting in your lungs, getting everywhere. This hot sauce was just all on me, and although it was. And also, the hot sauce did not cheat. It like if you've had a bad quality hot sauce, they have some that are just they make it as spicy as possible, and it just tastes like spice and spice and like the inside of an asshole. This really actually did have a little flavor. Of course, you only tasted the flavor for like 3 seconds, and then it just is like a fire that just
Just consumes everything.
I don't know about.
I would have survived this hot sauce. I would have been all right,
I'm sure.
except rise and grind socialists, which mean we were talking to this dude like before we had eaten. So I was having like a bite of catfish and the hottest fucking hot sauce on a stomach. So obviously I fucking threw up like left, right? Like I got in there and I was like, brum, brum, brum. I'm like, we gotta go. Like I gotta throw up. And Rogelio is just being like, what do you mean? You gotta throw up? Like throw up what? Like imagine like a comedy skit about this situation and the least helpful possible guy. What do you mean throw up? He's like, I have to. It's going down right now. I don't want while I'm trying to hang out with the one-time guy because I've eaten there in the past, but I don't know the owner, right? So this is my first time hanging out with the owner of like this cool barbecue place.
And you're just yakking.
It's not exactly my old neighborhood, but it's like a few blocks away from it. So like it's proximity or whatever. So like I did not want to throw up in this dude's parking lot because he might damn recognize my face if I go back there to eat.
Wait,
so
did they put your picture on the wall already?
you throw up in his parking lot, you come back and
it's
you
like
come back,
a
he's
video
like,
cam of just Brandon.
Came back, huh?
So yeah, so I told Rogelio, man, you gotta drive so I can get this shit. So we drove just out of eyesight, and I just like, Courtney, do you remember like South Park where they have like the puppets, Team America World Police, where they just had the puppets?
Yeah.
And just put that was me. Just it was nasty.
Did you just go to a different business, Brandon?
Oh well,
random grown ass man.
I'll be okay though because I'll go back like Rocky. I'll be back there like on a regular.
Yeah, you're gonna walk in and be like, "Oh, look who's back! Get this man the mild sauce."
No. God, listen.
No shame in it.
Hot experience. Shelby, do you have any experiences with spicy food, making it or eating it?
Now I will tell you, I have a friend, and her husband is Mexican. You know, Mexicans are known for their peppers, and she wanted to try extracting, doing extracts with the peppers. So I told her she had to buy the peppers. I'm not a pepper spicy person. And we did. I did a trial run with doing extracts on probably about 5 different peppers: the jalapeno, habanero, serrano.
You just give them to all the people you don't like. You try this.
That's got me shook up. Yeah.
So the only thing with the peppers we found out though is the extraction process. We have to do it longer. Longer, like I found an interesting way online from somebody else that did it. So I tried it their way, but it didn't work out. So I've been working on it my way.
And the people that are watching, like, we do politics usually. Like, we are probably going to talk about like the PRO Act. We haven't talked about the conviction yet today. Like, we're an hour and a half. Like, we are all black people, and I want to say this. Actually, I didn't have this on purpose, but now that was mentioned. Before we even get back to more spicy food stories, y'all realize black people are black 24 hours a day. We do other shit. Like our shit is not like it's not fucking solely relegated to being fucking oppressed by the state. We have 3-dimensional identities that like exist outside of that shit.
Right.
So we were all like mad, relieved, frustrated, happy. I don't know. Everybody's got their own thoughts.
I'm like so tired.
Yeah, and just super exhausted. But also like we wake up tomorrow and like want to go eat. Like we're all normal human beings. So, we'll probably do some of that. I don't know, like 15, 20 minutes, just whenever. But in the meantime, let's share some spicy food stories. Alyssa, you attacked me for putting you on the spot. You came by, we did an interview. We did like yourself. We talked about your life story. We read the America First Caucus platform with you and me and Amy, our producer, who I'm going to bring on for 5 seconds. Hey, Amy. Hi, you're here. You're muted, Amy. That was your opportunity at being
Was that that's all we get to see?
that was your chance to be a star, Amy, and you ruined it. But
talking about putting people on the spot mid-sentence, talking to me, you're just like, oh, by the way, gonna just throw you in here too.
But Alyssa, can you talk a little bit about your spicy food story?
Yeah, mine was when I was a lot younger, but it's not that spicy. It's just the one that I'll never forget, which was my dad took me out to sushi for the first time when I was like 10. And he's like, hey, Alyssa, they just put a glob of avocado for you right there in case you don't like the sushi.
Oh, no.
And I was like, okie dokie. And I just, I like double fisted.
Oh, no!
Grabbed both of them.
No!
And I was so surprised that I started like choking on it, like coughing. And so at first this random lady sitting next to us, like was like thought I needed the Heimlich and was like trying to give me like, you know, whatever that's belly compression. I don't know what they're called. Anyways, was like trying to give me the Heimlich, and my dad is just sitting there laughing. He's just laughing.
This is a traumatic experience.
It was. And then, so because I wasn't actually like really choking on anything, I ended up throwing up everything in the restaurant. Oh. And my dad is just like, I love you, Dad. Not that you'd ever watch anything like this, but I love my dad, but he's just an ignorant asshole and just thought it was so funny. He just sat there and laughed and laughed and laughed. And then, okay, this one's on me though. So like maybe like 2 years later, I don't know how old I was, but we went out and my dad was like, look, first time he ever acknowledges it. He's like, look, I got you a special roll and it is really just avocado. And that motherfucker went to the counter and asked them to make me just like a wasabi. Wasabi and rice and just wrap it up. And it was like, here you go, Alyssa. So I had it happen to me again. And like, I just like anytime my dad asked me to go to sushi, I'm like, you can go fuck it. Like, no. Absolutely not.
I mean, you have to be careful just because of the rule of threes. You know, he's gonna get you again.
Right.
Child abuse. But no, I mean, just kidding. But
he's gonna get you.
Like,
Kyle's right though. You got to stay on your toes.
The introduction reminder payoff.
Watch out for matcha tea, maybe. Maybe he's gonna try to get you with matcha.
Or the next time the Shamrock Shake comes back around.
Yeah, don't trust yourself.
Well, he doesn't believe in COVID, so I have a good year to be okay, probably. But yeah, so that's my traumatizing spicy story. And I don't know if it's still up, but there was like a tear-stained, very pale, twiggy version of myself on the wall afterwards, where I was like, oh, really. They definitely took a picture afterwards because my dad was like, hey, it's her birthday and it's her first time ever eating sushi. But
Amy, it's time for us, Amy Hassel, the redemption. I'd like to bring back our incredible, talented producer, Amy. Welcome back.
Hey everyone.
You are two important things. Number one, you are like a longtime viewer of the show. So you know that as a producer, just your fate is abuse. Like every producer of our show just gets as whenever it's funny, we just drop them off a ledge.
Okay.
But Amy, tell
the first ledge I got dropped off on was Ren this morning or this afternoon was like, well, you're a full-time video producer, right? I was like, huh, cool. Okay.
Well, you got promoted today. Congratulations.
Awesome.
Amy is officially the leader of because we have a video show and for some dumb reason we have an audio podcast too. So we're just trying to
for some dumb reason he says the audio show gets hundreds.
I was like, are you
the audio show is hugely popular. Like that is how our show starts. So like people do listen. There are people who just watch us on video. There are people who just listen to the podcast. And
the episodes that I've listened to, I did them in podcast form.
Yeah. So, Amy, do you have a spicy food story?
I guess when I was very young, it's actually similar to I think what Kyle was saying. When I was very young, like we were at this vegetarian restaurant that my dad really liked, and I ordered like this burrito I really liked there, except they just gave me the spiciest version of it, and it was intense because like it was exactly what I expected, except for super spicy, and it was like a very like my reality is crashing down kind of moment.
They're like, yeah, just fuck these kids. Just whatever. Just give them spicy
But
shit
since
ever.
then, I've developed quite a taste for spicy food.
Amy, we did an episode, you, me, and Alyssa Vieira, and we talked about the America First Caucus. Can you talk a little bit about the America First Caucus and what that whole thing was like?
And can you do that while using the ex-wife terminology, please?
Wait, did we use that?
And while eating spicy food.
And while eating spicy food, yeah.
I mean, wait, can we cuss?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah, fuck
I'm
those
glad
guys.
you asked.
They're not, none of them are elected anymore. I think I said it on the podcast too. They can go ahead and suck my girl dick. You know, that's all they're good for anymore.
Amy, thank you. This is the real unfiltered shit. As soon as you said, "Can we cuss?" I was like, "It's happening.
It's going down."
And by the way, I think more importantly on the immigration issue, like because we touched on that quite a bit, like, and I think I'll just like repeat it here. You know, like if you are proud of your Irish and Welsh heritage, like I am, you know, like little white bitch, you know, fairy bullshit, or if you like your olive skin because your grandmother was Italian, you have to be open borders. You have to be pro-immigration because the only reason you have that shit is because of people that were stigmatized immigrants, just like everybody else that's trying to get in right now. So, you know, like be open borders and don't sleep with your boyfriends if they're not open borders. Full on sex strike.
So like open borders or closed legs.
Okay.
That's merch.
That's
I would wear that
That's
shirt.
gonna be a
I'd wear
new
that
not
shirt.
safe for long shirt.
Absolutely.
Don't you worry.
Yeah, I'm a
Don't
hassle on
worry,
Twitter.
Amy, do you have anything that you want to plug or talk about before we send you back to the galley?
Check out Down Home, North Carolina if you got a few minutes. They're a grassroots organization in North Carolina really trying to bring the same sort of ethic of help first and then talk about socialism to rural areas in North Carolina.
I love it.
And right now they're doing a big thing called the Listening Project, which pretty much anybody can be a part of, but especially if you've got some connections to North Carolina. And we're trying to get 10,000 people to give us 30 seconds to 10 minutes kind of an interview.
I love it. Amy, thank you for coming on. We'll thank you for running the show and keeping us all in line and together. So come back at any time. Yeah. Shelby, before we're gonna move to a new segment, I want to plug your website. It's Twisted-Sister. You can also go to the Kickstarter. It's all right here, and you can look and you can see all of this cool stuff. You can watch the amazing trailer, and there's just tons of stuff on the website for people to buy. But the best way to buy is through the Kickstarter right now. Show your support. Shelby, anything else?
Really, I do appreciate you allowing me to come here and promote what I'm doing. And the more support I get, the more love of this product I can bring to everyone. I promise you, you will not be disappointed.
And for people who are just coming in from Left Flanks, we were hanging out with Shelby for like 45 minutes just talking about her artisanal vanilla extract. Shelby has been a medical laboratory scientist for 30 years and is bringing the same scientific rigor to making cool extracts. And we talked about how they worked and just given enough game that you could go and have a cool conversation with your friends that's not about like the outrages of the system.
Yeah, and just thinking about, taking your projects to the next level in general, something we love to talk about here.
Absolutely. So, Shelby, like, you're welcome to stay if you want, but we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the PRO Act. We're going to talk about criminal justice. We're just going to have a good political time. And
Everybody got super dim.
And Chelsea Stone from Atlanta DSA is in the building. So we are really going to get into the business here. So everybody, hang tight. We'll be back in a minute. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy, hit it. Joining us, Chelsea,
Hi.
Atlanta DSA
Welcome.
co-chair, one of my favorite human beings that I've met in my activism life, a person with incredible wealth of knowledge and information, and just a cool person. And I love claiming indirect credit whenever you do cool things. Because I tell people as soon as you got here, Chelsea's the best, put Chelsea in charge of everything. Now that they're catching up, I told you guys, Chelsea, how's it been?
Oh, you're too kind, Brandon. Because I tell people, I'm like, it's Brandon's fault I'm here. So if you got an issue, take it up with him.
Chelsea, tell us, like, listen, you worked in China for a very long time.
Yeah.
Which means you must have a spicy food story.
Oh, I have terrifying spicy food stories.
Yeah.
What's your best spicy food story? Let's go.
Do I really have to open with probably one of my most embarrassing stories?
Yes,
of all time?
We've had
This is
two
what we're doing
vomit-related
right
ones.
now.
Okay, so the thing
People
about
aren't here
spicy
to hear
food.
about, like, everybody loves the PRO Act, but people really want to hear about you eating something really hot and throwing up.
Yeah.
We opened this
Yeah.
new season of Not Safe for Wonks with Lauren Ashcraft telling a story about a ghost cat. The bar is really high, okay?
Okay, well, I don't know if I can top Ghost Cat, but I was in Sichuan one summer back in 2009. I was teaching like a summer camp in rural Sichuan, which, like, if you know about Sichuan, then you know that like the one thing that it's associated with is the spiciest food in the world, which is, and it's so good. I mean, the cruel thing about it is that it's so good. You just want to eat it and keep going. But if you have a Western stomach, you will regret it in about 45 minutes after your meal. So I was enjoying it. I was loving life, eating with all my cute little students. They were being so sweet and being like, wow, like, you can really eat spicy foods, teacher. And I'm like, yeah. And about halfway through my next class, I'm like, where is the bathroom? And I'm rushed outside. I'm like, oh, good. Okay. And they had, it was like, it wasn't an outhouse so much as an out warehouse. There was no privacy in this. And it was like wooden slats over pits. And there were maybe 20 other children of various primary school ages. And we all just, had really spicy diarrhea together.
The kids can take it though, like the spicy food, and they're fine.
Is diarrhea just a part of life?
Honestly, you would think like, okay, well, they're just used to it, so maybe they don't have the same reaction. But the amount that like Chinese people talk about like their bowel movements and the amount of diarrhea that they have, I'm like, okay, so everyone has just collectively decided
This is
This is the normal.
Yeah. Right. If the food is good enough, we're just gonna put up with the shit.
Yeah.
And I like that. I'm okay with that.
I was like I said at one time, man, my body, my choice. I'm gonna take it. It's all good. Listen, Kennedy, before we start talking about the PRO Act and all this other stuff and politics, tell us your spicy food story. We all worked around the table and everybody got in there except for you. And don't think
it's good that you held off on mine though, because I didn't want to necessarily tell one that involves some illegal content with Shelby here, our respectable guest. But because I love spicy food, so I've got tons of spicy food stories. But I think my best one is I made a hot sauce from Carolina Reaper peppers, which is one of the it was the hottest pepper in the world at the time.
What is the scope of that?
It's like over 1 million. It's crazy.
Demonic. It's like Kyle, if you remember old Warner Brothers cartoons, the number just spins around and it goes really hot, ain't it? That's what the number is.
Yeah, it's really high. And okay, just to add a little extra, there's like a story within this story, because just to cook this hot sauce, I had to do it outside on what's called a rocket stove, because I knew I could not do it in a building. Because it would be like chemical warfare type situation.
So did you have goggles and gloves kitchen
too? So I make this hot sauce and I have it for a while. So me and some friends of mine, including my very good friend who passed away last year, Mike, who's really who this story is about. We took some acid and we're tripping. This is many years ago. It's past the statute of limitations. Come at me. We're on acid, and Mike and this other guy that's there start doing this macho back and forth thing, and it gets into the hot sauce. And I'm like, listen, you guys, I know you're trying to do a thing right now, but also you're high as fuck. You don't know what you're doing, and this hot sauce is the hottest hot sauce you can possibly imagine. I am an extreme hot sauce freak, and I have to just use tiny amounts, and what does Mike do? He just coats a burrito, the top of it, like you would with salsa, in this stuff. Basically, he gets halfway through it and just has to lay down, and he's just he went into he became the Buddha, I think. He was just laying on this couch, the acid and hot sauce have just taken over, and we're like, Mike, are you okay? And he's just I can't talk in another universe. And we were like, are we gonna have to do something for him? Is this actually gonna be a situation? Because he doesn't seem good, right?
You said burrito.
It's a burrito that when you eat it, you see God.
Hey, maybe you should start lacing your hot sauce, just for fun, for comedy,
as a prank,
as a goof.
Microdosing, right? Or would the ratio be really high? Oh, I'm seriously considering it after giving you shit.
Microdosing hot sauce.
Yeah, how many doses of acid are in this bottle of hot sauce?
You shouldn't need more than 20 taps. I think that's a good number, right?
It's about right.
Okay. Do y'all want to talk about the news?
I guess.
Yes, we can do that.
Now listen, if we're all man, oh no. Listen, oh man. Before we start talking about the trial, which is the main thing that I really want to talk about. Well, there are things that I really do want to say about them, about the trial, and about the verdict, and about some of the reactions. Before we get to that, let's talk about labor rights. May Day is coming up, and it personally struck me that nobody knows what the fuck May Day is. May Day is generally something that's said as filler in a children's cartoon, or it is a weird holiday that happens somewhere else. People do not know that May Day has an origin that's kind of tied into America. And I was literally talking with Chelsea about that like this morning / afternoon. Chelsea, can you talk a little bit about like the not so secret history of May Day?
Yeah, that's a good way to set it up. It's crazy to me that every other country in the world celebrates May Day, and we're just the only weirdos in the world that we're so scared of communism, the specter of communism.
It's a holiday with origins that were in the United States, and it's an international holiday.
Right. Like in so in China, we always had it off. Like it was always a weekend that people looked forward to like, you know, beer festivals or go on vacation or whatever. And then my last job, all of it was based in Europe. So like everyone always had that whole weekend off. Like in America, I mean, I think that the reason that we have Labor Day in September was still to sort of like extend an olive branch and be like, okay, we'll you know, give you some crumbs here, but God forbid that we allow, you know, this holiday at all to be aligned with workers. Like it's not. I mean, that's the thing. Is like I hate the way that in history, you know, workers become very quickly conflated with communism. Like it, and I mean, it's fine. I'm personally, I'm a big fan of communism, but it should just be so simple. You know, like so many things that we talk about on the left, I'm like, we're not being radical here. We're asking for one day off to commemorate things like having an 8-hour workday and like the end of child labor. Like, are you really so threatened by like the bare minimum of workers' rights that we're not allowed to celebrate this holiday in America? So
the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen. The thing that kind of grabs me about May Day is, first of all, my family was like a union-ish family, and we didn't celebrate. We would just be like, it's May Day. Tacos. Like, and somebody just mentioned, by the way, it's May Day. It wasn't like my family was like, you know, Hanukkah stories. Tell us the meaning of May Day. It just meant, you know, a little extra taco. Enjoy.
Yeah.
I think that recently inside the United States, May Day has been seen as more like a day of solidarity with the immigrant community because they already knew what the day was and what its traditions were. Mm-hmm. Like I see more Latino demonstrations around May Day than I see like I see lots of labor demonstrations around May Day because they all know what the holiday is about. But like just in the regular non-union labor community, it's not like a huge thing.
Yeah. Well, especially too, I mean, if you are someone coming from like South America or Central America, where, you know, like leftism as a movement is generally more accepted because like the enemy of US imperialism was so much more obvious. Like it wasn't hard to convince workers that the US were bad guys and capitalism was bad, and therefore you should embrace socialism and you should, you know, do something really innocuous like celebrate May Day. So it's thank God that we have a few people in the US that are remembering the point of it. And I mean, I genuinely think if you asked like the average American what they thought May Day was about, they'd talk about like the maypole or something, which I don't know anything about.
I was like,
that is like a historic May Day. Like that's like a solstice festival.
Yeah, that's what was kind of presented. Yeah. We used to do it at Ohio State, and I actually planned like the last one, and it was always a huge week-long celebration. And for some reason they were like, we're not going to celebrate May Day anymore. But I'm sure that and it was something they celebrated for 100 years. Like there was a huge budget for it, and they were like, well, this is the last May Day. They never explained why, and they really stopped focusing on what it was about with being with labor. Like it was always about like maypole, and so you get to have fun this week.
It really is like the real Labor Day, and I kind of see putting Labor Day in September is kind of a way to obfuscate that.
Yeah, no, they put Labor Day on a day that doesn't have any actual meaning. so that there's nothing to really associate with it. Rather than put it on a day where were you to learn about it, you'd go, oh, wow, these workers were striking and they were killed by the police. Gee, that's an interesting story that I just read.
Yeah,
Right.
the cool thing about an international May Day is that borders don't matter. If you're a worker in China, you're celebrating solidarity with workers in the UK or in France or in Senegal or wherever. And so I think your point about them moving it to September was very deliberate to be like, oh, no solidarity allowed here.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that somebody in China or in the UK or in France would know who what Haymarket is and who Albert Parsons is, and somebody in Chicago, like random person you pull up the street, might not even know.
It is.
But
It's the ultimate
this is killing
tragedy.
me to think about.
But if you're watching this, then now you know, and knowing is half the battle.
Right.
I want to talk a little bit more about labor stuff, but before I do, hit like, hit thumbs up, hit subscribe, hit retweet, hit favorite, hit engage, comment. I don't know what all the things are because we're streaming on like 4 different things, and they all have their
report
own.
tweet so Jack can see it too.
Yeah, hit report, hit cancel, just do all that stuff. Kyle, one of the things we've been doing in Atlanta is advocacy around something called the PRO Act, which is, we live in a deep red state, and the PRO Act is like a bill that, among other things, gets rid of right to work and makes it easier for people to join unions. Have you been impressed with how the advocacy for that bill has been? They've been doing phone banks and all that stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I have. I'm in the official Atlanta DSA Slack. I see all the work that the PRO Act people are doing. They're flipping senators. They're canvassing people. It's like good actual organizing.
Chelsea, how have you felt about the PRO Act rollout? The support you've gotten, and what y'all have done with it, and all that good stuff.
It's interesting because I think just generally speaking, when it comes to activism, I'm very skeptical when the instruction is, let's do a phone bank.
Oh, you're senator.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They're not going to listen to us. But they've been absolutely relentless. I don't know if any of you have participated in the phone banking for the PRO Act by DSA Eco-Socialists, but it has been relentless. It's been every single freaking day for 4 weeks now.
All of the people, all of the phone banking terminators from the Bernie campaign have as soon as they started doing all that PRO Act shit, people it's been a little bit more low key online because there's not the political horse race of tagging on to something that's not a super it's not a super sexy law like the For the People Act or anything like that. But
at least it has a name. At least we're not calling
also Jimmy Dore didn't
1173 or something.
Yeah.
Jimmy Dore didn't scream that you're not a real leftist if you don't support this one either. So
right.
I do think that this is one of those. I mean, I don't know. I'm always a cynic. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that's actually happening online that needs to happen online to change hearts and minds around the PRO Act. Of course, there's so much propaganda coming from mainstream media about how the PRO Act is going to make it impossible for you to be a freelancer and make enough money, and they're going to take your jobs and take your money and blah blah blah. So there really is this element of info wars that people have to be online fighting, and DSA has been doing a really good job of impressing upon people the importance of that. Look up the local publications in West Virginia that are posting these anti-PRO Act articles and spam the shit out of their comments. Get into internet fights. Come on, leftists. We know that you can do this. We see it every day on Twitter. Get out there and fight the good fight.
The info wars, as you put them, on labor have been really ferocious. And just in terms of in California, they had that Uber regulation, and they
22.
And they were just doing push notifications to everybody who was driving for the ride service and just talking about, if this thing passes, your life will be ruined. Please click yes. Please drink verification can to continue driving. Like it was some real weird stuff. Ultimately, that is like the battlefield that we are going to have to compete in 10 years. Like that was something where there was a ton of money and that company like had to invest a ton in it. But like as the stakes of society raise, like those are the kind of campaigns that we're going to be competing against, and they're campaigns that are able to easily get both saturation instantly and a narrative instantly. Right. You do not have to be smart to be able to deploy something like that, like the campaign that was used in California. You just have to have the money. And the guys,
I'm looking up, Uber spent like millions of dollars. And they don't even make money. Like they're not a profitable company. They haven't made money in any. No. They haven't made a profit in any year they've existed ever, and they have money to throw around on this just because of how much is at stake.
Right.
It was extremely confusing being a California voter. Like we looked at like every progressive thing. We were like, are we supposed to? I mean, we
talked to drivers. Like, I mean, I think the thing that sucks about this is that they have the money to put behind it, and really they don't even have to push people in one way or another. If they can get people confused enough, then
that slight question
like doubt, and then you don't know. So who's the main person backing this against the PRO Act? Where's that money coming from?
I mean, that's like the Chamber of Commerce. That's like generic rich business shitheads, and they frankly were caught off guard. They clearly did not anticipate that there would be such a, because it hasn't been the traditional like let's all post kind of discourse. Like it's just been a let's work on these people kind of, like it's been a little bit more inside, and I think they were a little bit surprised. And they've started
because it's not a voters resolution. They don't feel like they have to engage with people.
Right. So the Chamber of Commerce has started rolling stuff out. They have not really gotten the big right-wing screeching maniac machine on it right now, because they've been that machine is busy doing other stuff, and they want to do like trans women in sports and police violence like that. Like they want to do that stuff. Like it's not a sexy enough issue for them right now, honestly, especially because a lot of their constituents are aggrieved workers anyway. Is there a tweet from Klippenstein? If you send it to it,
I have it up here now. So it's just
okay. Put it in the private chat, and we'll put it up.
Sure.
Tell us what's interesting about it while we wait.
So it's just like it's got a video with it too, but it's
okay. Well, we can play the video.
Yeah, it's Kristen Sinema quote. The way I make decisions on behalf of Arizona for our constituents is by listening to the business leaders who will be impacted by these decisions.
Well, let's just play. Let's just play.
Businesses are people, guys.
Yeah, I don't want to impact anything with my inflection. Too. Let's hear her talk.
All right, Kristen. What do you got for us? Let's do it. Is this up?
An issue that our friends at the Arizona chapter of the Associated General Contractors wanted me to bring up with you, that there's a bill that passed the House, the PRO Act.
Is this not
really quiet? Hold on.
Yeah.
Let's try that again.
Okay.
Were you
backing up?
All right. How about now?
No.
All right. Well, you try it on your end. You've got the thing. You try it.
As you probably heard.
Is that better?
Okay, it's a little soft, but I think that's just the video. Let's just
okay? That's just the video.
There's a bill that passed the House, the PRO Act,
and I can read it. There's a bill that passed the House, the PRO Act. This bill is making its way to the Senate. You intend to be on this. We know that it's an evolving issue, and if you'd be willing to have a discussion with employers in Arizona about our concerns about this bill being a disruption to the workplace and to our business.
This is her talking to the Arizona Chamber of Commerce, by the way.
Okay.
We're listening today know the way I make decisions on behalf of Arizona and for our constituents is by listening to the business leaders who will be impacted by these decisions. So I want to discuss this legislation, and I want to know the impact it would have on Arizona jobs and the economy. Now, there hasn't been any movement on the PRO Act yet in the United States Senate, but I can tell you that many Arizona businesses have already reached out to my office, and I know have discussed the concerns that they have with the PRO Act with some of the folks who are on our call today. Now, right now, this legislation is not scheduled to come before the full Senate, but we are watching carefully because some of the PRO Act provisions, especially in regards to the worker classification test for independent contractors, could become a part of other legislative ideas. So I would ask all the members who are joining us today to please stay involved with my office and help me by sharing information about how this would impact you and your company so that I can go back to Senate leadership and folks on both sides of the aisle to discuss the concerns that Arizona businesses have.
I actually have encouraging news. I have very encouraging news. If I were at the Arizona Chamber of Commerce, I would be nervous because those were words that meant nothing. That was a long 2-minute speech that just said, I hear you, I see you. She gives that speech to everybody in America, man. She does, she is what.
Oh, no,
what
not
that means
everybody.
is
We get the fuck off ring.
she's in the Chamber of Commerce, and so she said, I see you, I hear you. And please keep me in the loop with whatever you are sad about. All of that entire post was, I will use you for leverage.
She was
Like,
basically just like, please only talk to me if you own a business, and that's all I care about my constituents. Also, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I didn't read it so much as like, I hear you, I see you. I like what I fight for them put in the chat. Like she's kind of like asking, let me be your mouthpiece, business leaders of Arizona.
That's a bad sign.
So I can represent
points for a United States senator. She like that doesn't sound like somebody that can be secure in their position if the talking points aren't developed. You see what I mean? Like they are on the back foot of this thing. Now,
yeah, they didn't say what like concerns they have. Like,
and also Cinema and Kelly, like are both the Arizona people. So we can't say like for the minimum wage, Kelly had comment like wasn't worried about it. We just clearly like have no idea what's happening with the two Arizona senators, and Warner, who is also like an extreme corporatist. Like if you were to tell me who the last holdouts were, I probably would have given you the list of those three.
You wouldn't have guessed Manchin? I was shocked when Manchin flipped.
Yeah,
that was
we're talking about surprise.
I was very surprised. It's West Virginia. Like they do have,
a union history.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop Manchin from mostly just being like, kill poor people. Thank you.
Basically, Manchin likes to like wiggle around things, and he doesn't like to be the last bad guy on an issue. He doesn't like to be the deciding vote against
unless it's minimum wage.
Well,
he's happy to be the last guy on minimum wage.
Have to be the deciding vote because Cinema was there with him.
I think Manchin is part of like this kind of weird nebulous group of old guys that, same with Biden, that are like right on basically everything except unions, which they have an affinity for because they grew up around like union factory guys.
Yeah.
But aside from that, they have no other positions that actually align with workers.
Manchin's just like, my dad would vote yes on this. I'm doing it for Pops.
I believe it's Pop.
It sounds like she's putting the onus on businesses. If somebody in DSA came to me and gave that speech, I'd be I'd be very nervous. If we had if a mayor who was aligned with us or a city council person who was aligned with us came and we talked about a critical issue and they were like, I always want to represent you in your community. I always want to hear from you. And I've heard about this bill. I don't think it's going to come to the Senate, but feel free to keep keep giving me your feedback. That's nothing. That's zero.
Mm-hmm.
Like a person who really was against the bill would just be like, I will support you in defending your community from da-da-da-da-da, and we've got a big uphill battle against the radical left. So please come reach out to my office and we can start work. If you really want to do something, you just say you'll do it. This seems like a situation where I don't feel discouraged by that speech. That's just a regular politician speech of just like, yeah, I'll see what happens.
You think she can be flipped?
That sounds wild to say. But basically, here's what I think. I think all of these people who are in politics all respond to their own interests. So if it can be arranged to be in her interest to support the PRO Act, then sure.
If she has a bunch of small business owners call her and say,
I wouldn't make that like a prediction. Chelsea, you're shaking.
I'm so shocked by your optimism.
Oh, I don't know.
Brandon's
Yeah, I
the
got about
optimist on
Chelsea's
this
side
show.
here.
What he's here for.
I'm not being optimistic or pessimistic. I'm just saying stranger things have happened. And
Well,
it looks like
there's a low bar for that, Brandon. It's 2020 fucking one.
I know. Stranger things have happened. That's all I'm saying.
Here's what I think. I think that cinema can be pushed into the ocean.
That's a long way from Arizona.
It's gonna take,
will make a stranger
we need a lot of people
have
behind
happened.
this.
All right.
Either
Okay,
the ocean or we
okay.
can just fling her into the sun.
But here's what I want to know, and maybe y'all smarter folks than me can like entertain this scenario. Let's say that we actually successfully flip every outstanding Democrat to support the PRO Act. Then what? Like, isn't the filibuster still going to be an issue? I mean,
Right. And how many Republicans do you need to sign on to it?
right. I mean, for all of the work we're doing.
This is filed right alongside the For the People Act in that these are both things that will not happen unless the filibuster is abolished. A few people realized that like a week ago because politicians are just always on the damn back foot. And so a couple of lib politicians who like made voting rights something that they can go back to their neighborhoods and talk about, they looked at the paper, they're like, wait a second. We can't do this. Yeah.
But and that's one thing. Like Manchin can vote yes on the PRO Act all he wants, but he's still anti-filibuster.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that just the theme of today is the establishment arranging symbolic gestures
Yes.
that make the individuals who are involved with the system look like people of conscience, while in place as much of the horrible infrastructure as possible. Now let's talk about criminal justice.
It's a perfect segue because
I was
fuck electoral politics, because this is exactly it. They keep us talking and talking and talking, and we have no power to change these things. But let's talk about burning everything to the ground. Because
Amen. I'll start the fire in California, even though we've already had a lot.
So let's everybody talk about your reactions to capital T, capital V, the verdict.
I watched live television for the first time in like 5 years.
Yeah, right.
I did not.
Way too much because I turned it on. Like, I'm not on Twitter, so this was my only way to like get the news live. And everyone was saying it's going to be delivered between 4:30 and 5. Which meant, and it was delivered like exactly at 5, which meant that I had to subject myself to 30 minutes of like talking head commentary on CBS News.
Yeah.
But when I turned it on, like YouTube TV or whatever, the first thing for Chauvin trial was Court TV, which luckily didn't have any of those talking heads.
Man,
All they had was, like,
wasn't on there
for a half hour.
They just had like 20 minutes of footage of people standing around waiting on the verdict outside the courthouse. So
that's way
a
better.
mild improvement.
That's way better, yeah.
Kennedy, how did you watch it? Because I watched it on, I've got the YouTube TV. And so it just kind of streams and records and all that good stuff. How'd you watch it?
So I forgot about how time zones work, so I kind of almost missed it because I was doing something else. And then in the Discord group where we were working on a different project, some people popped in and they were like, "Hey, that it's happening," and we were like, "Oh shit!" And we just everybody stopped what we were doing, we put it on, and I actually watched it with like a small group of people, which was kind of nice because we all got to have that little moment of catharsis together. My general reaction was just like, this is very symbolic, and we definitely can't lose sight of that, and so that my number one concern is just people thinking that this is like an actual victory as opposed to just more of just, I think catharsis, like I said before, is the best way I can describe it. Like, it's a good feeling for us who have been fighting these battles to see that their old tricks didn't work this time. Because they certainly tried all of their tricks. If you watched any of the trial footage, it was ridiculous. It was a circus. The defense was nightmarish, but this is the kind of defense that has consistently worked and gotten cops off over and over. So, it was nice to see that their tricks didn't work. And most importantly, it's been great to see conservatives melt down.
It's been great to see the sadness. It's been great to see them, completely crying and just being complete babies. Before I get to that, I just want to point out that the verdict itself can be used as a trap, like it's part of like, now this is going to become the standard for when we discuss like future police homicides. It's going to be like, well, it wasn't like a slow motion murder in 4K. And that is now the new standard for conviction. It's just going to be used as like a frustrating rhetorical device from some of the world's lamest people, who will be willing to sacrifice this one person, but
looking at you, Pelosi.
Yeah, but will never support any structural examination of any of this shit.
Did you all see the like bad takes of like brands on Twitter after the verdict was announced?
The Las Vegas Raiders.
Yes.
Oh God.
Deliver the news.
Hey, can we? I want to kick everyone else off of the stream for about 5 minutes. Don't worry, you'll all come back. But we're just gonna. You've all got to go. Kennedy, you'll be back in like just a short amount of time. Chelsea.
Hi.
What are the brand implications of when you see a tweet from a professional football organization that just says in big ass text, "I can breathe," and the date? As soon as it had been up for an hour, I said, "This goes to the top." Because there's no way that any people who do social media for these brands, they're not high up the food chain. I mean, talk about what the content world production is like for these brands.
Chaos, an absolute chaos, and not at all in any way dictated by like a moral compass or a sense of ethics. It's just to anticipate like what the conversation is going to be and be the first one out there with whatever that message is. And it's this like urgency and this complete lack of thoughtfulness or any sort of investment in what the issue really means.
Chelsea, I have to say that is also how you blow up on Twitter. That is just how you do it. We just sit here and we you can be too smart for Twitter easily.
Yes. I 100% agree. And it's why brands should stay the fuck away from these kinds of issues. I mean, it's sad. It should not be a hard take. It should not be difficult to have an ethical, good opinion on this. But of course, we're asking this of like evil capitalist organizations who aren't capable of critical thinking of that level.
Chelsea, did you know that that tweet came from the owner?
Shut up. Did it really?
It came from the owner. And the tweet is his baby, and the reason why it hasn't been deleted is because he's like, "That's my tweet. I stand by it."
Everyone has had a boss like that before.
There is somebody who can you imagine being the social media person for the Las Vegas Raiders? You're probably white. You're probably just a decent human being. You're trying to get through the day. Your boss comes in, and it's just like, tweet, first of all, you live in Vegas. You're probably like breathing a sigh of relief already.
Yeah.
But then your boss comes in before you can even breathe. Tweet, "I can breathe" on the social media account. And they're like, "Mr. Davis, what do you mean? Do it now. You're fired. Do it now." And you're like, and now all of the harassment, trending worldwide, whoever the white boy is that works on the Las Vegas Raiders social media account, we're coming for you. So you're already getting like before the night's up, somebody's trying to dox you.
Yeah.
All the worst, the people of Twitter, all the weird people of Twitter are just out to attack you. And it turns out it's just 100% your boss decided to throw your ass in the grill. That's why we need the PROACT.
Exactly. I was going to say, this is a labor issue.
That's why we need the PROACT. Kennedy, welcome back. We just had to talk about just that aspect of the struggle. It had to be a safe space.
Yeah, no, it's understandable. Really, truly a powerful and moving tweet.
Why? Who thought that was a good thing? I mean, why would you tweet that?
What do you mean? It's all performative. It's exactly what everybody wants.
The reason
we're talking about it, right? All press is good press.
He said that Philando Castile's brother or somebody said something like, I feel like, just some nonsense that he just came up with in the moment.
George Floyd's brother said he was okay with it.
But that wasn't his quote. And that like the quote that he used wasn't the actual quote.
It's from Eric Garner, if anything.
Yeah, and the actual thing was it was used by like the cops in that case to like mock, It's incredible that tweet is still up. It's incredible. The reason why they're in Vegas, by the way, is just because like Oakland can't afford a football team.
I was like, not Las Vegas.
Like the building, like that building has been falling apart forever. And honestly, and also like, of course, the ownership always wants to get into a bigger.
Football teams, all sports teams, really are just like if you don't demolish another black neighborhood to build us a stadium, and then every 5 years we're gonna leave for another city. That's how they keep a city all hostage.
Constant mass blackmail. I want to add, because I Fight for Them gave us that news story on cinema and the PROACT. While we're just talking about workplace exploitation in general, the reason why we were showing that is because Ken Klippenstein wants to know what cinema's actual position is, I presume.
I don't think she has ethics. Like, she has no position. She's just trying to...
Position. In fact, she is so in that I doubt I don't know if she could talk about the PROACT for an hour.
She was reading. Did you guys notice in the video? She was literally reading.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to interrupt anybody. I was like, you can't. It's like, how big? What? You just couldn't come up with those few bullshit sentences. All I got a lot of saliva in my mouth.
That's the saddest part. No, you're right. It's like you were not even reading good stuff. Like,
you're not like you can't like. And there's like what a paragraph there, and you can't even not like. It was just ridiculous.
Courtney and Keisha, do y'all want to talk about? First of all, welcome back.
Oh, okay. My computer's gonna die. I'm switching.
Okay. Do y'all want to talk about tacky tweets, or worker exploitation, or social media where your bosses take over and embarrass you? Just general. How's it?
Any of those things. I did see that Raiders thing you guys were talking about, and so I was telling Court about it. I mean, so tacky. I mean, I guess it always makes me think, like, who is the final person who's like, yes, do it. That's it. That's what we're going with.
There's so many people that have to pay.
The owner wrote that tweet himself.
Himself?
Yes. And so when he asked the next day, like, have you fired the social media guy? He was like, that's my tweet. I stand by it. I was talking to Chelsea about how bad I felt for the social media dude. He just worked there, and it's just like the whole internet wants to beat your ass for a day.
Yeah, at least the owner took ownership. So
yeah,
that's nice. Jeez.
Right. I mean, honestly, if you just saw the tweet without knowing who it came from, I mean, you'd guess it was from, like, if you were like, it's from an NFL football team, you'd be like, oh, okay, well, probably the Raiders then, right?
Wow, we don't know the stereotype.
Well, I would assume it came from the Washington football team.
Oh yeah. Dan Snyder would be the person.
Yeah.
Good.
Forgot about that guy.
That tweeted, "I can breathe." The Texans would also be like a third place choice for this. But those are definitely just the franchises that are constantly in stuff like this. They can't even call their team by the name of the team.
Every time I hear Washington football team, I just break down.
The Washington football.
They still haven't come up with anything after all this time. They have no idea what are their names.
All of us can come up with a better name. The Washington Gremlins.
The Washington Washingtons.
They already have the Senators. That's like the baseball team, right?
The Washington Warlords. Yeah, they used to be the Senators. Kyle, that's really showing yourself off as a fan of classic baseball.
Yeah, you know.
What about when Washington? What about when Washington had the Bullets though? That was
first of all,
they like that.
Why?
It could be the Muskets, like
that's
a Revolutionary War thing. You know.
How about the Strongy Boys?
They don't like the reason why they're not the Washington Bullets is because they don't want violence.
Right. Kind of aggressive, yeah.
How about the Washington AirPods?
That's more accurate.
That's actually a great idea. Dan Snyder is not smart enough to actually
drive that Apple stock up.
It's cold branding. You know?
They should call. No, here's what they should actually do. Dan Snyder should invest in Dogecoin. Dan Snyder, get your money in Dogecoin, and then announce that you're naming the team the Washington Doge. And then your Dogecoin will spike through the roof, all the way to the moon, because people will be like, "Oh yeah, and then sell your Dogecoin, fabulous profit, pump and dump Dogecoin,
pump it
for team name. Like, let's go, let's make some. Well, luckily, Dan Snyder is one of the worst human beings in the world and isn't smart enough to take this advice.
That would help too many cores. So I don't know.
You call it the Washington lobbyists, shine a light on the swamp of DC.
From Washington,
Washington lobbyists.
What about the Washington swamp drainers?
Ooh.
You could have a
swamp people.
I'm imagining a dragon, by the way. Like, it's a dragon that just loves the taste of swamp water. it's a dirty dragon with some dirty whiskers that just... It's not a very appetizing dragon.
The awful dragon. The terrible dragon. How many ways can you say this?
It's not a hot dragon every time. The dragon's name is Larry.
The saddest mascot ever.
The saddest mascot. Larry has a drinking problem. There's a divorce. There's a whole backstory.
He has a swamp drinking problem, to be specific.
He can't get off the sauce.
Larry, oh God, I love it already.
Get off that swamp sauce.
I can't.
We already have a precedent for weird mascots. We got Gritty. You know,
that's true.
He's a true hero.
Gritty, so.
Yeah, that's it.
If they can have Gritty for their hockey team, then we can have Larry the swamp drinking dragon as not safe for Wonk's mascot.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
artists, get on that.
Not
Larry the swamp drinking dragon. We could probably sell that out in MAGA country. You know. I don't know. Maybe dragon stuff isn't doing well over there because they're in xenophobia land right now. We might have to wait for them to find a new boogeyman. Then we'll come in with Larry the swamp drinking dragon.
At first, I was like, they'll know we're making fun of them, and then I was like, no, they won't.
No, they won't. They'll never know we're making fun of them. What do you mean? Conservatives thought the Colbert Report was real for a long ass time, and many still do. So, yeah. Chelsea, do you have any mascot names for the Washington football team?
Oh God, the fighting olives.
The fighting house.
You just look around your house and
Yeah,
go,
literally, I was like, what am I in the mood
So
for
I
right
can
now?
see it like a light green uniform and in red helmets.
Chelsea, are you into the other football?
Oh no, I'm not a sports
gonna talk
person.
about
I don't
other
even really stand
football?
up a lot, so
Can we talk about Super League?
Can we
Yes, I
what?
would.
Are you?
can we talk about the fact we're talking about how bad football team names could be or can be or whatever, but can we talk about the fact that actually it's unironically cool to have a terrible name for your soccer team?
Yeah.
I mean,
Is it?
Like every single
Yes.
soccer team is just like the town name football club.
yes.
Washington football team is actually like a top 25% name in soccer.
Yeah,
Right,
that,
they
Yeah,
would,
exactly.
that would not even be something we would make fun of if it was a soccer name. We'd be like, "Yep, that's a great,
No,
that's
they-
a great
They have
one."
like mascot names, but it'll be like the Chelsea drunk day laborers or something.
They know their audience.
Like our soccer team is literally just called New Mexico United.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our team
Sounds
is
like
I think
Ireland.
that's
Wait, it's
classy.
ours.
It's
our
just,
team is also called Atlanta United.
yeah. I'm like, are they all united? I think
That's
the
another-
DC is
it's
united.
the-
It's the United. Yeah, it is. Are we
there's
missing
Chicago
something in the league?
Fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's LA Galaxy. That's the team.
That's
Oh yeah,
That's
that's
hilarious.
hilarious.
There aren't even that many soccer teams, and they've already had to start using the same names. That's sad.
I
They
think
gotta
no,
work on it.
no. Chelsea, no, they wanted boring names because the USA has like a little brother syndrome. So they didn't want like cool American style names. They wanted to emulate the good countries of soccer. And so some English teams are called like Arsenal FC or
Yeah.
you know
Crystal Palace FC.
Crystal Palace United. They're trying to be classy. So we are Atlanta United. Tune into them today at 4 on BBC America. They keep trying to make that happen. But however, it's a fine name. It's okay.
Clearly, because a bunch of people like it. At least 3 cities worth of people.
Color scheme, listen, you can get away with a lot of mediocrity if you have a good color scheme. This show has been floating on a good color scheme for just a long, long time. People love it.
Also,
It's a
you
good
just get
background
to
for Red
shout the name
Stripe.
of your town. That's easy. Just go to the game, just shout the name of the place where you live.
Automatic
You don't need to learn
Yeah.
anything.
They do that in rap songs all the time. You just like, Chicago, DC, whatever. Yeah. That's how you get to pull them in.
The one thing, if you're talking about little brother syndrome in terms of like soccer, football, America doesn't have properly good football riots. We've never had any football ultras going in like street fights. That's what we need.
I agree. I think the problem might be that the soccer is not that good.
It's not good enough to riot over.
Hey,
Probably it.
Wait, but this is the
New
women's
Mexico
soccer
United is really good. We're gonna make it. Shut up.
I can say I've never watched an MLS soccer game to completion. I watched like Premier League and I watched World Cup soccer and Champions League, but never MLS.
You've missed out. The one season that I decided that I was going to become an MLS guy was the season Atlanta United won the cup. So I watched.
Are you taking credit?
I watched like a good 30 games that season. Like I watched tons of Atlanta United and got into it. And, it was like something you put on in the background while you're working or whatever. It's a soccer game. It's, an hour and a half.
I stand by that.
And what also I would do is, I would watch it on delay. Nobody in my, social circle was talking about Atlanta United like that hard. So I could watch it the next day or whatever and skip the halftime commercials and not be spoiled and just watch the whole game. And it was pretty good.
Nice.
Especially because I don't watch the Premier League, so I don't have that to compare it to. I'm not.
You don't know what you're missing.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, this is pretty good.
No, I would watch it. I would watch the Premier League, and I would be like, "Wow, those guys are way better than our team."
Or
and
just
let me turn
women's soccer.
Yeah, exactly. The women's soccer. I think with women's soccer, people just like America. We just like to win. If anything, you just say, "Oh, there's an American team, and we're doing handball." and it's the best team. Americans would just watch it. We'd just be all into handball. We just
is the women's national team like just better than the men's team? Because that's what it feels like.
No, well, they're better than the other women.
Do you remember when Mia Hamm and team won the World Cup, the Women's World Cup?
Yeah.
Or was it the Olympics? I don't remember. I don't do sports.
Yeah.
Anyway, where were you when Brandy Chastain pulled off her shirt and like slid on the grass in her sports bra, and the world collectively lost its mind?
Why was that such a big deal?
I know, it's so
crazy.
Innocuous, and
It was a
in
huge
hindsight,
deal.
it was a huge deal. I was like 9, and it was summer vacation, and we were glued to the TV, and we all went out to dinner that night. Like, it was a huge, momentous celebration. Like, even my super conservative parents were like, "Can you believe it? She was in her sports bra, feminism." Like, everyone was on board with it for a moment in time.
Wow. Nice.
Wow.
I think that there was, with soccer, I think that a lot of it is just the development of the national program. And because the women's game was all taken off at the same time, there was like an outsized amount of like ability to build that program relative to other countries. Whereas the United States program, other countries have been doing the sport they just have a generational legacy in the sport. So like the United States just like is behind in developing kids and all these other things. And also just a culture of parents that are interested in the game and want their kids to play it, and that kind of stuff. Whereas with women, it's like a brand new, fresh field, and so you can get, and also because of just numbers and money, you can get a bunch of girls that are interested in it. So we've got, I say we like I send them money. The United States women's soccer team has a very good program.
Brandon's the commissioner.
No, like listen, I'm from Georgia, so my tradition of sports is extremely biased commentary on TBS and UGA, University of Georgia, just the most biased commentary in the world. Oh, UGA, our side's got the ball. All that nonsense.
Yes, it's clearly if we could all agree on one thing, it's that there's clearly a superior football, and it's not the US's version.
It's not soccer either. It's a secret version. We're not going to tell you.
The best one is honestly rugby. If you've ever watched a rugby match, I don't actually know the terminology.
Yeah, leave it to the Australians.
Courtney and
Keisha, Australian football is completely different from all of those.
Are y'all nodding out of genuine appreciation for the mechanics of rugby, or are y'all like, we watched it and the guys were hot?
Wow, that's insulting.
Wow.
You mean one guy?
How dare you even ask that question?
I'm canceled. Tell me about the. I know. Listen, I hate to say that we're all fake rugby girls. I thought we were all in on this together. Are you like the one true rugby fan?
All I know is that it's like football but without the pads.
All right.
It's very aggressive, and I can get behind that.
What else?
You turn it on and they're like halfway beating the shit out of each other.
I'll come out and say it. I'm here for the boys in rugby.
Thank you, Amy.
It's more physical than American football, and there's a lot of men touching each other, which is the best part.
Amy, guess what? You're uncanceled.
Wow.
All right. You guys return to your regularly scheduled programming.
All right.
Aw, that was some nice support.
Hey, I think I will have to head out. I have.
Well, actually, we're going to be wrapping up.
Let's all head out. It's 7:00.
Yeah. I'm leading the book club tonight.
I want to close with one final thing. Get everybody's reaction to this. We've talked about criminal justice. We've talked about bad branding. Let's intersect those for this final moment here.
All right.
Here we go.
Oh my God. Don't show me that. What
is that? A chihuahua and a crucifix?
Oh my
God. What am I looking at?
Is that one of those like Trump kind of American
Yeah,
flags?
like a
the thin blue
Oh,
line,
the
like
blue
Trump
line.
flag.
yes, the thin blue line. Wow.
This is for a very niche consumer. Like,
Very, but that's how you get them, though. I mean,
Yeah.
where else are they gonna go? Where else are they gonna find this quality?
I mean,
Mhm.
this is exactly what they want, and you're not going to get it anywhere.
yeah.
What if you had
No,
a
you're
different
right.
In this house, we back the blue. We believe in God. We own a Chihuahua. You know,
Oh,
you don't need to
does
see
the
that
dog-
flag.
does the Chihuahua believe in God, or did the Chihuahua die, or?
Well, he's part of the family, right? So
That Chihuahua looks very, you know.
It kind of looks like a Chihuahua memorial, like they lost a Chihuahua.
bit, right? Yeah.
Listen, that's
Wait, was the Chihuahua killed by cops?
Oh no!
I think
that's
so.
a likely one.
God.
Wait, what if this is actually a leftist statement? And it's like, look, you look behind that thin blue line flag, and all you'll see is a long list of
Pull back
Chihuahua
the curtain.
deaths.
Dead dog.
Yes.
Wow.
Listen,
I forget where
we
it
all
was.
gotta
I
get
wish,
one of
I wish I could find a link quickly. I'm gonna see if I can find it. But it was like just a list of slain K9 officers, and like so many of them were Officer such and such. Officer Fido died after being shot by another cop.
I'm sorry. They're actually called officers, like
Yes.
the dogs.
Yes.
The dogs, yeah.
Yes.
And
Okay.
you better respect Officer Fido too. You better use proper title. You don't.
Oh my God.
Fido won't respect you. Think about it.
You'll get a fine for that. You can't.
You will get
Yeah,
fined.
K9
Turn it
officer
all
Fido.
down.
Oh my God.
I want to point out that this flag is $32 while we are all laughing.
$33.
Yeah, I mean it's $32.99. We can round up a cent. Let's all be for real here. This is
There's a tweet.
That's
This
$33.
is-
That's
this is
amazing.
a $33 flag. So when you take like the huge amount of people who are back the blue types, who are Christians, and you know that's a large group, right?
Oh, yeah.
So all we're really looking for is the Chihuahua is the specificity in all this.
Well, the Chihuahua is just one layer of this image. The Chihuahua, you can replace that with a Doberman, a Lab.
Yeah, we can put any dog in
Can
that.
you?
We can put a baby, we can put a newborn baby, we can put a cat, we can put just anything, like we can put a football, we can just put anything that you want to be there with the blue live flag.
You can also get a bigger size, a house flag size. I mean, this is, we're on the ground level right now.
Is a house flag, is that like what you would put up on a pole in front of your house?
Yeah.
A Mayday pole.
You'd put it half mast, for when you kill someone.
When you're
Or someone's dog.
I want someone, listen, if you are thinking about getting a garden flag or a house flag, I want you to do it. By all means, I want to know those are free. Don't approach them in public.
Yeah.
Don't, turn your head the other way when they wave at you. It's bad.
This is amazing.
First of all, I know that dog is going to be racist. The dog-
If you can find a bad Santa party with limits, like price limits high enough, then you can. This would make a pretty good gift.
Yeah, you're right. That would be a great white elephant party. Yeah, totally.
I want to show y'all this tweet that Kyle sent because it's great and it's just literally about officer dogs. The Officer Down Memorial page.
Oh God!
By the way, I don't
the
have
first one from Georgia.
DeKalb County, R.I.P.
Now, I want to point this out. I don't have a problem with memorializing dogs of any kind, but these are victims of the state. Like,
Right.
The
Police
dogs,
dogs, police horses. These are victims.
these are victims of state violence.
They were pressed into
Wow.
service
Yeah.
as puppies.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You don't know if they wanted to do that from birth. I mean,
Why they wanted to be an artist? They just wanted to.
I remember seeing, this was a whole other tweet. I remember seeing this about a week ago of some police chief saying, yeah, if you defund the police, we're not going to be able to keep the police dogs. We're just going to have to shoot them. We're going to have to put them down.
Oh my God! There's
And you know why people love
That's right,
animals?
liberals. You want to defund the police. This is what you're asking for. You want dogs to die?
You hate puppies?
Wow, that's a good angle. That's a good angle.
This has been an amazing episode. I would love to stay And Kennedy, like we talk about, hey, we should just do longer streams. Some days I feel like, wow, we really could. But this has been just awesome and epic, and I love everybody here. Shannon, we recorded with Shannon, and like we didn't love the audio quality, so we're gonna re-record. Shannon will be back next week, and hopefully Lindsay Ray will also be back. You know, it's just life is hectic, but you probably barely noticed because we were all kicking butt, and it was a great time. So thank you.
I hope I can come back sometime.
Kyle,
Yeah,
come back
of course.
whenever you want, whenever you've got something to shill. And that goes for everybody here. I love all of y'all. Y'all are just the kind of people that when we said we want to reboot the show with cool people, we meant all of you. And we also meant all of y'all watching. So please like and favorite and comment and all that other YouTube, Twitch algorithm nonsense that you do when you have something that's really cool and you want to keep coming back to it.
Yeah, and you can head on over to Twitter at NSFWonks. Follow us there. We're always posting good stuff. Also, if you want to support the show, this is 100% independent media made possible by viewers like you. Patreon.com/notsafe is the place to go. I'm not going to lie. We offer our patrons very little. We are broke organizers. We do this show for free. Yeah, and you should just give us money because you care about us. That's the only reason. Thanks.
Comedic flavor.
Compelling. Yeah.
All right, everybody. We'll see you later. Tune back in next week at 4 p.m. Wednesday for more fun and good